got it. We know what you feel, you want it. We got what you want, you can have it. We got what you need, you want it. We know what you want, we got it. We know what you feel, you want it. We got what you want, you can have it.
Orientation in this place we call Earth. Love from conception, from your mom, your birth. Pops planted the seed in the turf. From there, you must find out what life is worth. Grew up learning your do's and don'ts before working on your motor skills, working on your coordination, right? And orientation to what your life. The brand new thing, so gentle the soul we're capturing. In this distance, the alphabets the kids sing. They celebrate when it's time to go outside. As you get older, you learn to let all the troubles in your life just glide away. Stay focused, keep it smooth, keep you cool. Things in life can make it get rude. If you let it, don't let it. 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 If you let it, let it, let it, what? If you let it, don't let it, let it. If you let it, what? Don't let it. If you let it, don't let it, let it. Don't let it.
We got what you need, you want it. We know what you want, we got it. We know what you feel, you want it. We got what you want, you can have it. We got what you need, you want it. We know what you want, we got it. We know what you feel, you want it. We got what you want, you can have it. We embark on this journey through your soul. We wanna have a good time. We embark on this journey through your soul. We wanna have a good time. We do something that you know you can't deny. We're just slipping in and out on a journey, you and I, on a mission to salvation. Our spirit be our transportation. We think you'll do a little love and that is true. For real, we bring something that you know you can't deny. We're just slipping in and out on a journey, you and I.
Bring it.
We got what you need, you want it. We know what you want, we got it. We know what you feel, you want it. We got what you want, you can have it. We got what you need, you want it. We know what you want, we got it. We know what you feel, you want it. We got what you want.
Every day the children dying. What about the children crying? No, no, no.
What about the kids?
Don't forget the children.
Tell them about the children.
What about the children crying? No, no, no.
Yeah. Digging, scratching, working, struggling, hoping. Some is hustling, every man hustling. Stay alive, that's the game. It don't matter if another gets slain. Pain, recession, other cats want a war. We got the weapon, people want bombs, so they gon' get them. This is the rhythm, the politics ticking. It's sad how we living in this life. It's gonna be a time that we change. Shit is not finite, life is the same. Motherfuckers killing each other to make a claim. Stop that bullshit, you have no respect for each other. You know the truth, you come from your mother, your sister, your brother. So love one another. If we make that change, the whole world will do the same. So listen.
Only this one love. Every day the children dying. What about the children crying? No, no, no.
What about the kids?
Don't forget the children.
Tell them about the children.
What about the children crying? Oh, no, no, no.
I wish someone would tell me when is the suffering gonna stop. I see time ticking, fuck your watch. There comes a time when man steps to the plate, but it won't matter if your mentality is fake. Where I'm from, we got a system, overcrowded prisons, 2 cents an hour, man. Listen, shit don't change if we keep exploiting each other. One day you find out you only did it to your brother. A homeless mother, a baby, no supper. She got a husband and father, they both love her, but they can't find work cause the people with the power, they got a strange way to govern. Their price tag say nothing. Life is funny, then again it's really not. People dying for what other people got. I asked God if he can come and change the shit. He said, hell no, it's you that's gotta change this.
Every day the children dying. What about the children crying? One.
We all is. Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's good? All right, it's 0908 Central European Time, Thursday the 2nd. That's Central European Time is 0308 Eastern Standard Time in the Americas. Hope everybody's doing good, y'all. What's good? Come on. Take heed.
I traveled the globe just to gain perspective. The theory of relativity applied. Of course, it took a while to decide how I should proceed, but either my life is truly based upon need. So I move forward with more deliberate speed. Smash corny motherfuckers that stuck on greed. My seed is worth more than $1 million in future stock. The goal is to break the safe, the padlock. Mad cats can't stop it, need a rocket. Your style is boring and cold, mine is tropic. Battles you want, commit, you'll change the topic. My partner, sir, get put your beat in the pocket. So this nigga here can proceed to destroy your stereotypical pop rap gangsta ploy.
Alright now. Yo, I cannot. I'm telling you, man. I'm warming up. I will be live the end of this summer. I will be live starting off in Copenhagen and Christiania. Yeah, the place called Christiania. I'm going to be live. It's going to be outside. I'm going to be with my peoples. And we're going to rip it up. It's going to be live. We're going to everybody is going to be in the house. And folks will be partying their ass off and going and getting twisted. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, in any case, I ain't gonna tell y'all who I'm gonna be with, who's gonna be joining me on this one, and Christiania down there, but I got some surprises, you know, and it's gonna be a few from my main squad. Yeah, in case you don't know who that is, it's all good. But in any case, y'all, let's get to the news. Let's get to the comparative data, like we always do. Let's compare the United States to the EU. Let's learn something about the places Trump wants to insult. Let's learn something about the places that seem that actually have more rights than we have in the US. Let's learn something about those Western capitalistic social democracies. You know, the ones that people like Elon Musk like to call, you know, communist. You know what I mean? Like nobody knows the difference between a social capitalistic social democracy in the Western world and a communist nation. You know, it's insulting. And I'm going to tell you, the main people it's insulting to are the Americans. It really should be you, because you should be insulted to have someone think that you're so stupid they can just lie to you about the world and you just eat it up. And some of you are. Some of you are that goddamn dumb. Some of y'all going to come in the chat and start talking about, yeah, it's communism and socialism doesn't do that. It's like, yo, wake up, man. You're not even in the conversation yet. Learn what a Western country is first before you put a label on it. You what the fuck? That's like going to what kind of shopping experience is that when you just go order one thing and they just give you some other shit like you said something totally different? No. Western nations, except the United States of America, are capitalistic social democracies. Okay, very simple. Where 60% of the taxes the citizens pay goes directly back to their lives. That's what's going on outside of the U.S. or better. Yes. Western democracies, capitalistic social democracies, right? Outside of the U.S., the citizens have double the political representation that the citizens in the United States have. That's how it works. Learn it. Get the names right. Before you suffer, before you continue to suffer, get it right. Why do you think you continue to suffer? Who's been happy? I'm from the United States of America. And I've been hearing Americans bitch the whole time. I've been hearing the rich bitch about the poor. I've been hearing the left bitch about the right bitch about the left. I've never heard one day where there wasn't like, wow, we're doing the right thing, every American together, or the majority. I've never heard it on TV. I've never heard it in goddamn news. I've never heard it on Fox News. I've never heard it on CNN. I've never heard it on MSN. Nah. It's always, at best, only half has it the way they want, and the other half totally hates it. That's what the United States has been for generation of people or more. Since what? FDR or some shit? It's been a while. 2-3 generations. Yeah. And then as soon as you leave and you get the data on other capitalistic social democracies, all of a sudden you find out people are a little more happier than Americans. If at best 50% happy is the best you can do, that's actually not even in the game. You're not even in the game of getting shit right. If I came, do you know what 50% is on a school exam? That's an F. 50% of the people liking some is an F in society. Okay? Just like it is in school. You only get 50% of the answers right. You get an F for your report card. You get an F for your report. That's a low grade 50%. That's failing. That's not even a D. 60% is a D. You know what I'm saying? 70% is a C. 80% you got a B. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. That's how it works. And the United States never seems to have more than 50% of the people at any one time that likes anything. That's an F. And it feels like that. That's the experience. You know, you get you get an F, man. You get an F. It's just that simple. But in any case, let's get on with it. We're going to talk today about the powers of the POTUS, right? The future POTUS, what the future president will have, the powers they will have now that the Supreme Court has given Trump the presidency, not even Trump, the presidency, unlimited power, essentially, right? Not totally unlimited, but next to this Supreme Court has given the president more power than any other president in history ever thought that they could even come close to having. So we're going to talk about what the next president is going to look like and those powers and what the different faces of it could be. You know, yesterday we kind of chuckled about it a little bit and talked about how we're going to have a, what did they call that? A libtard president that's going to run amok. Yeah. The next, since you like calling people libtard, the next libtard president is going to run a goddamn muck with all the new powers that no libtard president has ever had in the history of the world before. Thanks to Trump. Yay! Hey, you think men in the ladies' bathroom is going to be a problem? You think that's going to be a problem? You think that's going to be your worst problem? Hell no. Shit, the next libtard president is going to go crazy with power. Power that they never thought they would ever get, thanks to MAGA. Thanks to this Supreme Court. They helping presidents get more power. Instead of helping the people get more power, instead of helping Congress get more power, no, they're like, let's have a unitary president. Well, what would a unitary libtard president look like? We already know what a unitary MAGA one would look like. What would a unitary democratic socialist president look like? What would that look like? A unitary, wow, I'm starting to like how that sounds. A unitary democratic socialist president. I'm really starting to like how that sounds. Unitary democratic president theory. Yeah, what could the unitary democratic presidency do? Executive office. What could they do? Could they could they just put a actually, I know one thing that they're going to do is go after all political enemies. All of them. Doesn't matter if it's TV, if they TV personalities. Go after, exactly. Go after all these little right wingers that spread these lies. All the ones, just go for them. Lock them up. Take away the FCC. Take away Fox's FCC TV license. Just cut it. Totally. Fuck Fox. You out of business, Fox. Yeah. And if you do not fire these people and replace them with left wingers, then you ain't going to have a license. That's what the next unitary democratic socialist president is going to do, thanks to the powers of the Supreme Court. Thank you, Supreme Court, a lot for giving the presidency that much power. Thank you. Bravo. Good idea. I like that. Now that I think about it, it's pretty good, actually. It's pretty good. Maybe they could challenge some, actually, I think the libtard president would be better, because they would mandate that red states need to actually make it easier for people to vote. Yeah. Why do you have your people driving an hour just to fucking vote, man? Come on now. Don't you want people voting? You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. That may not be good for Democrats, but hey, you know what I'm saying? Let's show them some love. That would be the democratic socialist thing, right? Just make sure all of them have access. Old people in red states have access to vote, right? In any case, well, the other thing we're going to talk about is how Republicans now are begging the centrist Democrats to come back and take power. They're saying, hey, centrist Democrats, we want to work with you now. Come on. Why don't you work with us on education, centrist Democrats? And the centrist Democrats were the same ones a year ago they called communists. Kamala Harris, communist, commie. That's exactly what they said about Kamala Harris. They called her a commie 1,000,000 times during the election cycle, 2024. Communist. That's what they called her. And Comrade Kamala, that's what they called her. And she's a centrist. She's a centrist Democrat. They called her that, and now look what they got. Now they have Mandami. They got something. Actually, you went from a person who just wanted it to be a little more affordable for elder care. That's Kamala Harris. A little more affordable for people to buy their first home. Just a little more affordable. Not a guarantee. Just a tiny itty bitty bit more affordable. Kamala Harris wanted healthcare to be a tiny bit more affordable. And now across the country, we got democratic socialism on the rise, and they want it for everybody. What do you call that? If Kamala Harris was a communist, what do you call that? Is there anything else? What is it? I don't even know the word. Has that ever happened in the history of the world? Pretty much, it seems like they exaggerated when they talked about Kamala Harris. It seems like the Supreme Court overstepped its bounds when it refused student debt relief in the United States of America. It seemed like that because that wasn't anywhere close to to everybody. You know what I'm saying? There's people in the United States that have a lifetime full of debt, can never get out of debt just because they went to school. Just because you think they shouldn't be in debt for going to school for a lifetime, you call that communist? Wow. That's interesting. Well, you know, there's something different happening in the United States. So we're going to see how that looks. And let me see. Yeah, so let's get to it. I mean, first, let's get to the other news. There's more news. Trump's crying his crimes, and his crying about people coming up and trying to hold him accountable for his crimes is what's happening right now. So let's peep, gang.
Today, we're getting a much clearer picture of just how much President Donald Trump and his family have been profiting in many ways since Trump's return to the White House. We're going to walk you through multiple examples, starting with President Trump's newly released 2025 financial disclosure, required by the Ethics in Government Act of 1978, that shows his total income for 2025 exceeded $2.2 billion. That is up from $622 million in 2024, before he returned to the White House. This 927-page report is a staggering look at President Trump's growing fortune made while he's president through cryptocurrency holdings, royalty payments, property investments, and much more. Now, Trump's total crypto earnings alone totaled about $1.4 billion during his first year back in office. $1.4 billion with a B. And it's important to note, President Trump began making cryptocurrency regulations, or the lack thereof, a big part of his presidency. Some of the crypto earnings on the financial disclosure include more than $526 million from sales of cryptocurrency tokens tied to World Liberty Financial, LLC, which is managed in part by his sons, Eric and Donald Trump Jr. Also, an agreement with Celebration Coins paid Trump $635 million. This is thought to be behind the Trump meme coin, which has plunged in value since he launched it days before taking office. After Trump and co. sold them, they plunged from a high of $74.27 to their current value around $1.70.
Damn.
Another big source of money is Trump's Mar-a-Lago Club, obviously a destination.
That means a lot of dumbasses lost their money. Because notice how he said plunged. Plunged means directly down. Whoop, boom. That's what that means. That means they opened it up. Everybody they had their money in it. They had the most amount of coins. Everyone else bought some coins, raising the value of their coins up to $24. And then when it got up to $24, they just bought. They just said, "Here you go." Sold all their coins. And the people that didn't sell, they ain't get their money back. What the fuck? Yo, you there? This is crazy, bro. This is crazy.
Well, this was all a part of his plan. Just like I said, just like I've said countless lives.
Yeah.
It's by design, right? So he deregulated a lot of laws in favor of crypto to make it more accessible here in the US,
right,
where before it was heavily regulated.
Right.
And all that played into something like this, right? His personal meme coin. Remember, he had Trump coin, he had Melania coin, right? And so he also has a stable coin. So not only does he have Trump coin, which is what they're talking about now, that meme coin plunged. Melania coin plunged as well, right?
They should open up they should open a coin called Pipe Dream coin. Fuck it.
No, I mean they should. I mean, who knows what the next meme coin would be, right? But in essence, so the meme coin and also the stable coin, the meme coin in particular, for obviously his average base, they bought it up, but it was used mainly as a segue to funnel money to him in terms of favors. So a lot of
Even more,
individuals
yeah, it's even more
who
sinister,
wanted
right?
visibility,
Yeah.
who wanted visibility to Trump, they bought that coin in massive,
Mm-hmm.
right? So instead of donating to him directly, it's hey, I bought $1 million worth of your meme coin. Hey, I bought $2 million or $500,000 in your meme coin. And so that got the attention of Trump, and that's where
They took that
certain
money out.
pardons came into play.
Yeah, yeah.
No, they didn't take their money out because it's like
No,
they're
no.
so
I
rich,
mean,
it's
Trump.
arbitrary at that point, right?
I mean, Trump and
Oh yeah,
like,
Trump
yeah,
cashed out.
you put
He
your
cashed
money
out as soon
in
as
to
possible.
pay him off, and it's really just looking like
Yeah.
you bought some coins. But the truth is it's a payoff because as soon as they see you buy those million coins, it pushes the price up. They sell their shit. They got their money. Now they can give you it's quo, right? Pro quo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get your favor now. You bought my coins.
No,
Yeah.
they cashed out immediately, but overall, he used it as a way to get the money directly to him, and
Yeah.
then have certain pardons,
Yeah.
certain favors, right?
Yeah.
Where it how can I say it? It gives a highlight to certain individuals of a high net worth who bought that coin, right, to directly enrich him or indirectly enrich him. And that allowed for him to recognize certain people. It's like, oh, I didn't pay attention to you before, but you just bought $1 million worth of my coin. So what do you need so I can return the favor in a different manner?
Exactly.
So people,
For sale.
they're not going to talk about it, but it segued a lot of side transactions, right?
Yeah.
A lot of favors, right?
Yeah.
But
Is it
also
legal?
enriched him personally.
Is it legal? Is the president
I
of the
mean, he
United
made
States
it
allowed
legal,
to
and
do
the main
that?
question- If the FBI is not going to investigate you, right? If any other body of law that you directly control is not going to investigate you, technically it becomes legal, even if it's questionable. Technically, right?
Right. So that's a new power.
And that's the president that he set. But yeah.
And that's a new power the next president has too, right?
Oh, of course, right? Like that's what it means to consolidate those powers, right?
Yeah.
When you can now definitively control the FBI and other investigative agencies, including the DOJ, directly from the president's standpoint,
Yeah.
they're not going to investigate those things because you're the person who now they have to go to versus the figurehead that they would have normally in a separate executive power, right? The head of the FBI now has to check in with the president and say, hey, this is who we're investigating. Do we want to investigate them? Right? And you who have that executive power is going to say yes or no, right? And so exactly, the next president, if he is a liberal president, can essentially most likely will do the same, right? They're not going to take the away from themselves. They're just going to continue, right?
Yeah, exactly. If it's all about power, then there's only one thing to do, right? If that's the new standard, all out power or nothing, then there's nothing else to do, basically. You know what I mean? That's the standard we at pretty much now. Is like all or nothing politics, and it's interesting. I mean, I'm having a hard time seeing Americans do something different, like care and respect each other, want to turn away from this style of Supreme Court where it's political based, want to turn away from this style of Congress, operating in Congress, like 100% Republican, 51% they vote for everything always, 51% this type of thing. Or I don't have faith that the United States can turn the corner into something that is like 70-80% agreeable, right? And then do things according to what 80% of the people think in the country. I don't have that faith. To me, it seems like it's going to be 50-50. Like this one had 50% of the power pretty much, or 51% of the power, and they went after every single thing, period. Nothing. No mercy politic, and celebrate it, right? And then tell you that you're anti-American if you don't celebrate it, right? I pretty much think that's all the next power is going to do too. But maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like the next power is just going to do the same thing, because if they didn't, they would look stupid, right?
Exactly. I think they'll do it more discreetly, right? They'll definitely do it more in a more discreet manner, because this is just blatant. And I think his base supports that, just that blatant in your face, I do whatever, where the next incumbent may not have that leeway, right? But they're still gonna do it nonetheless, right? Whether that's quietly or whether that's just more discreetly in a professional manner, they're still gonna utilize that power, right? That power is not gonna, they're not gonna diminish their power just because they feel some sort of humbleness or some sort of loyalty by any
To
by
be
any
better,
means,
to
right?
be
And
better than the Republicans.
exactly.
To
They're
be
not gonna do
yeah,
that,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. To be
right?
more
And I
fair
think
than the opponent
yes, that's something that,
is over.
when we look at your standard politician, your past politician, Trump has changed the political landscape indefinitely forever in American politics, right? When we look at the Obamas, right? When we look at the George Bushes, regardless of whatever legislation they passed, they worked more bipartisanly, more professionally, because they had years in politics and years of built up inherent decorum that they held themselves to, unlike Trump.
They knew
But
what the
that's
big
also where
picture was. They were going,
yeah,
they understood global influence. If
yes,
you don't
exactly.
care about the globe, then you don't need to operate that way. You can just center in on yourself and just be a criminal and a crook and forget the rest of the world. But if you want to be a part of the rest of the world, you at least have to look like you care about human rights. You at least have to
Yeah.
look like you care about fairness, right?
Yes, even if you're bombing indiscriminately in other countries,
You
right?
got to talk like you care.
Yes.
Trump doesn't even do that.
We're opening an investigation, and whether that investigation holds, and most likely won't hold any weight,
Yeah.
but the appearance is you opened an investigation. Unlike this administration, where it's just like, yeah, no, we're not going to open an investigation because we didn't do anything wrong, right? Like, it's blatant in your face, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
so, he changed politics forever, right? And I think that's kind of where, both parties are lagging in popularity because they don't have a candidate who is like that. And that's also to circle back to the DSA movement. That's where the DSA movement has legs, right? They have transparent, in your face, popular individuals who are advocating for policies of the working class. And so that's just where they win that appeal. That's a part of the appeal to the DSA, unlike the established Democrats or even the established Republicans. Like when you look at a person like a JD Vance, when you look at a person like Marco Rubio, they are politicians, right? So they conduct themselves unlike Trump, right? And they don't have that popular appeal that Trump does have, right? Like when we think about Trump, as much as I disagree with him, he has a level of non-political appearance, where he insults his opponents openly, right? Where he doesn't hold himself to that political decorum, that educated decorum that a lot of politicians hold themselves to. He just doesn't. And that's the reason, that's one of the main reasons why he's popular, even amongst his base, but even amongst the conservative and the independents, right? Or at least at his height, right? That was his appeal. Right? He's going to say what he wants to. He's going to do what he wants to. And he's brought that same attitude into how he's run this presidency, and even especially, on steroids now in his second presidency versus his first.
Yeah.
And so, and that now has manifested itself in real form. His first presidency, he didn't, right? It didn't really manifest itself, but he learned, and he now has his cronies and his individuals in position, and he's challenged, he has the majority Supreme Court. He's utilizing that to its full extent, and he's essentially consolidated power within the executive branch, right? So that way it becomes more of the president's say, where before they ran, a lot more independently, right? When we speak of the DOJ, when we speak of the head of the FBI, when we speak of a lot of these agencies, they reported to the president, but independently, right? They ran their investigations independently and then followed up with the president afterwards. So, hey, look, Mr. President, this is, this is what happened. This is what we're doing. Now it's more so, hey, this is what we found. What do we do?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they take orders from Trump. It's very specific.
Now, yes.
Yeah. They don't operate and do their job on their own initiative. It's Trump pretty much. And if Trump doesn't, they go to Trump first to find out if it's okay.
Yeah, no, you hit it right on the nose, right? And if we think the next president is going to do the that won't. It doesn't matter whether that's a liberal or even another Republican party.
You mean, say that again? Because you broke up a little. Say that again.
Oh, I said, whoever's the next president, regardless of whether they're a liberal or conservative, they're going to utilize that power till it's full, right? Like, we should expect now going forward in American politics, any president who takes power is going to change the head of the FBI, is going to change the head of every executive power, the DOJ, right?
Yeah.
The same way Trump has his personal criminal defense attorney, acting as the current AG.
Right.
We should expect the same things to happen whenever a new president happens, or whenever a new president is elected in our future elections. Like, that is going to be the normal. And I
because
think that's what
the
people
Supreme
don't
Court,
understand.
right? We got to go after Supreme Court president. The lower courts have to do what the president has been set, what president has been set in the Supreme Court. So they don't have so basically, yeah, and it is what it is.
It's unfortunate.
It is
right?
unfortunate.
It's unfortunate because
it is.
It
can't be wound back.
Viewers,
it can't be wound back.
No, it can't.
Really. Yeah.
It can't. And to give the viewers more of an understanding, before presidents to not disturb or disrupt a lot of these agencies under the executive power, they inherited a lot of these heads of these divisions, like the FBI, like the DOJ. They inherited them, right?
Mm-hmm,
and they wouldn't necessarily remove them unless they had a huge fundamental difference where it's just like, this is too egregious. I have to get rid of you.
They didn't want to seem part. They didn't want to. The presidents before would not operate in a partisan manner in that way. They wouldn't meddle in federal government business, not that way. Right? Yeah, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work because none of the federal workers are supposed to operate according to politics. Whose politics?
Yes.
It's just supposed to be law, not politics. And now Trump has found a way to change that, and that's been argued in court too. How much can you change? Who can you change? What seats can you be totally partisan with? How? It's gonna be interesting, man. It looks like the next president is going to force out, like, there's something with the Treasury, right? Trump is pushing somebody in, right? He removed one woman and he's putting someone else in her place. That means the next president can do that on day one. Just get rid of that person in the Treasury now, right? Isn't it the Treasury?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the Treasury, and they also had the Fed chair. So the Fed chair, he actually stepped down, which was Jerome Powell. He stepped down because he was already getting pressured. He got sued. So that's a lot of, again, it moves in a manner that is so fast sometimes that we forget
the next
a lot
president,
of the nuances.
Yeah. So the next president has to
the Fed
sue.
chair now was moved in.
Yeah.
So, he sued him. He lost. They lost. The lawsuit was shot down by a lower federal court when he decided to sue Jerome Powell. But it kind of sends a message, right? It's like, hey, look,
it costs money still.
Step down, or the money's arbitrary, right? It's like, step down, or I'm going to continue to find reasons
to sue you,
to persecute you. To sue you and persecute you. Right?
So the next president can operate the same way. Yeah, but the next president can just he can just bully people.
Yeah. Right. Well, when you think about, like, the Fed chair is really the head of our economic vehicle, right? Whether they raise the interest rate, lower the interest rate, they essentially control
Go ahead.
the fluidity of our immediate financial vehicle. Right. And so you don't want someone who has an agenda like a Trump to negatively impact, or directly impact, because they're supposed to be nonpartisan, right? They're supposed to read the data and move the economy in that direction that betters the overall economy, that maximizes GDP, yada, yada, right?
Yeah.
And so now Trump has set this precedence of putting in power whoever he wants to under executive power now that it's consolidated with this Supreme Court ruling. And again, just to circle back, every president will take advantage of those powers, right? Whether that's discreetly or in your face, they will, right? And that's what the American people. And again, to circle back to even what we've
actually, you know what, bro? You know what? Maybe Mom Donnie is taking pointers from Trump, the way he governs, being so aggressive. Maybe. Do you think he's taking? Yeah.
Well, I think Mom Donnie is utilizing it to be more vocal and utilize his endorsements a lot more strategic, right? And we see that with the DSA movement, right? The DSA movement is, they're winning, and it's not they're necessarily like they're not winning overtly, right? Like these are minor wins in the grander scheme of things, but where it becomes historical is that they're defeating incumbents that have had these positions for 30, 15,
bro.
10 years.
They're taking people out the seats, bro. They're taking people out the seats right now. Hold on. As a matter of fact, let's go right to that, man. Let's go right to that. I believe, let me see here. Is this one?
Colorado,
right? Yeah, let's go there. My God. Here we go. Yeah, that just happened yesterday in the last 24 hours. Peep this, y'all. This is wild. Uh-oh. Who the heck is that? Is that
Breakpoints.com.
Here we go.
Not getting it. It's great. Tells you what the show's about.
Here we
segment,
go.
and we actually get to the news. It'll just tell you right there.
That's convenient.
Yeah.
And join the many people who have signed up, because we're getting lots of sign support at supercast.com.
Yeah.
Right. So hit us up. We'll make sure that you get it and it goes to the right place. We're really excited about this product. It's pretty cool.
Okay, they got to sell some shit. But here we go.
For 200 plus years from it. And yesterday, as Emily flagged, there was sort of a first of its kind since the church committee, maybe. Not exactly as meticulous, but still, we'll take it. MK Ultra came in for that could revolutionize.
Wait a second. Here it is right here.
Not even going to be close in the end. Milad is going to wind up with more than 50% of the vote, and Degette's going to be down around in the low 40s. Let's roll A to B. Here's Melek Heroes from her victory party.
I want to tell you something about why this campaign matters, because it matters for what comes next. When I wrote a letter defending students' rights to protest the genocide in Gaza, my law firm told me, take it down or you're fired. I didn't flinch because I stood by every word, and I always will. But I know that will not be the only moment where those in power will tell me to change my tune, to not rock the boat. That seems to happen a lot in Congress. But here in Denver, we stand by our values, and we stand with our community.
Wow.
We will not wait to take the fight to Donald Trump and the oligarchy. We will not wait. We will not wait to abolish ICE and pass Medicare for all. We will not wait to put an end to the politics of the past, to get big money out of our politics, and to reject corporate PACs and APAC. And no, we will not wait to end the genocide in Palestine.
First of all, why do we not have one of those horns here on this show? We're a morning show.
The vuvuzela?
Without the vuvuzela, without the horn. Come on, we got it.
Not even what it is. I don't know.
We got to have
You're
one.
right. We should.
Damn, that was a very powerful speech. I want to actually hear the whole speech. But that was very, very interesting. Now, Michael, you said the person she knocked out of pocket was in that seat for 30 years. Is that what's going on here?
15 years.
15
Here in New
years.
York.
Okay. 15
it was 30.
years.
The DSA incumbent who took over that congressional district, it was 30 here.
Okay.
Chevalier.
Yeah.
She knocked off the 30-year incumbent, but Here, it's a 15-year incumbent. And that's where the established Democrats are getting scared, right? Because had it just been someone who was in power for about, 4 years, whatever the case is, 2 election terms, because every 2 years, they have these congressional representatives have to, get voted on. And so to knock over a 15-year incumbent, remember, this is multiple different presidential and Senate and House
seats.
numbers.
Yeah,
right?
numbers.
Seats.
Yeah,
Seats,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
When it comes to majority, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So to overcome that, right, is very big, right? It's a sign that your
Times are
established
changing.
Dem isn't popular. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, times are changing, bro. And I think it's, I think, they're going to turn it into, I think this thing about Dems and Republicans, but I think Americans it's not Dems are changing. I think Americans are changing because they have been able to pull this game where no party has had to deliver for the American people. They know there was a better way to provide health care. They know there's a better way to do education. They know there's a better way to do housing. And they just simply chose the most extremist form of capitalism to manage all of those things. That's what they did. And everybody else in the Western world knows that now. They could have had a little bit more humanitarian in the way they govern, because it's your tax dollars after all. Think about this. Think about, you pay taxes 20% maybe of your check, right? Or maybe, who knows, maybe more. But let's say 20% of your check leaves your pocket, goes to something like healthcare, Medicaid and Medicare, and then depending on how much money you have left in your pocket dictates whether you can actually access that health care you already paid taxes to. That's insane. That literally means the poor are paying for the rich. That's insane, bro. That's the most extremist operation of capitalism in the Western world. There's nothing that comes anywhere close. In fact, no one else does it that way, and I just think Americans are starting to get it, man. Maybe I shouldn't have too much faith, but the reason why I frame it that way is because I don't want to frame it as Democrats, DSA versus centrist Democrats, because I think the change is bigger than just Democrats. I think when they see this, when right wingers see this, sure, they might be fooled. Some of them might be fooled by the word socialism or the boogeyman. A percentage of them will be fooled by that, but the rest of them will be listening and watching how they govern. And when they see that they're delivering things in these cities, in these states that were not able to be done before, then they're going to say, well, how come you can't do it for us? How come they can get it done in their states and you can't do it for us now? You see what I mean? I think red state people are going to be tired of being left behind, bro. I think but that's just a theory too. Let's watch some more. Let's see some more then.
We need one of those.
We don't do enough, Kathy Lee and Hoda,
who had endorsed Mailot. It's also a win for Justice Democrats, which has been on its biggest winning streak, the biggest romp since its founding. They're blowing away their transformational year of 2018, what they're able to do now. Mailot also had the support of Denver DSA and the national DSA, and also Hassan Piker. There's a cool video that from the stream from Hassan's stream that we'll play for you in a second. You're going to see in it Chris Rabb, who was the DSA-backed, Justice Democrats-backed candidate in Philadelphia, who traveled to Denver to try to recruit voters for Mailot. You've got Hassan Piker, and then you've got Linda Sarsour, the New York activist, and they talk a voter into getting to the polls and actually getting three of her family to the polls over data centers. Let's roll A2C.
You guys
look so amazing.
What do you guys think about the data center that just popped up over here?
We hate it.
that random
one right there. Hate it.
All right, listen. So, Bannon to get this represented this district for 30 years in Congress. is saying nothing about the data centers because she's in the pocket of big corporations. Maylot Kuros, on the other hand, is going to fight back on the data center moratorium. She got endorsed by Bernie Sanders, too. They want to put a stop to these data centers being getting propped up left and right. You guys are stuck between a factory, Purina factory, and a data center in between. And that's not good for these little guys back there.
Poison. It's literally poison.
Yeah.
This district's poison.
But you only have till 7 o'clock to vote. So if you don't have, do you have a ballot in your house currently?
Yes.
Yeah, you just
I have
gotta,
3.
you gotta put it in a
Please,
drop box.
Oh, you got
Drop
3
them
voters
off.
in your
Let's
house?
drop them off.
Yeah.
Yo, that.
Okay. Drop them off.
Hell
Just
yeah.
drop them
Yeah,
off.
There's one in Philly.
I'm going to Congress in Philly.
We just
I
let
came all the way out because you have the opportunity to.
Are you from New York?
Huh?
He's from Philly.
Philly.
She's from New York.
Yeah. You know, East Coast.
New York,
East Coast.
East Coast. Well, you have the opportunity to bring someone to Congress who's actually going to change things and not not be with the corporations, but be with the people. But only if you come out. So if you got 3 ballots at home, drop it in by 7 o'clock.
They then talk about like where her ballot drop-off location is, and they figured out there's a library nearby. So she went home, found those ballots, brought them back. Everybody voted. The data centers are driving people absolutely insane. Like driving people completely nuts. You put up A7 because this win was not just limited to Maylot. Julie Gonzalez lost her race, we'll talk about that in a second, to Hickenlooper, who was the incumbent senator. She was kind of running as a ticket with Maylot. It's very difficult to win statewide in a Senate race. But in the state Senate race to replace Julie Gonzalez, the progressive populists won that one. There are 2 House races where the progressive movement was challenging incumbents. Those are now too close to call, so they may end up knocking those folks off. Then we put up A6. Phil Weiser is this is Assad, so let me just tell you. So Phil Weiser is the Attorney General running against Michael Bennet, who is the incumbent senator who's actually still in office through 2028. Very corporate, kind of centrist Democratic senator, a popular, well-known figure for many years in Colorado, and he was far and away the favorite. In the last couple of weeks, he had to lend his campaign something like $1 million, which is its own little corrupt act, which, if you remember, Ted Cruz kind of legalized this chicanery where you lend yourself money and then you can raise money as a senator directly to you to pay yourself back. It creates this situation where it's legal for then a rich person to just hand money directly to a person rather than kind of having to go through the whole, this is just a campaign contribution. No, that's going in your pocket at this point. So Bennett did that and then ended up getting beaten by Phil Weiser, who, friend of David Sirota's. So that gives you some indication of, I think, where he sits politically. Ran as an kind of anti-corruption crusader, somebody who is kind of in the anti-monopoly wing, wants to get big money out of politics, has ideas for how without a constitutional amendment you can restrict big money. So as the same, just as we're getting like the world's first trillionaire and wealth is increasingly being concentrated, we're seeing some level of pushback against that. I don't know if it'll be too late if they've locked everything down, but at least there's kind of a rearguard action against these trillionaires. And
I was reading this morning, so with Maylot Kuros in Congress, that would bring DSA affiliates to 7, right? In Congress, is that where the count is right now? I mean, that's just a gargantuan number compared to nothing.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And if we actually put the Daniel post up on the screen one more time, this is A7. I just want to dwell on this for a moment because
right now, 2 is significant. 7, 5, 4, 3, anything above 2 is significant, bro, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they talking about 7?
When we speak on the DSA movement, it started with AOC, right? She was one of the first in the DSA movement to be visible and to be elected at that, right? And obviously, everyone after that trickled down. She's been a lot less vocal, but the DSA movement has been more active, right?
Right.
And I think what it allows for the DSA movement to now have faces to the name, where before it was just in name. Now every state is having, not every state, but obviously out of the 7, New York technically has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, four of them, right? So the other, you have Grand Platner, you have his new incumbent in Colorado, and then you have DC, if I'm not mistaken. So you have, those are the other ones, right? It's mainly centered here in New York, but it gives a face, right? And that is the most important thing. And not only a face, these faces are young, right? These faces are younger than your average aged rep, right?
Right. Yeah,
And senator. And what that means, and this is where I try to get to
and
the
their
viewers to
vernacular,
understand.
how they speak, how they connect
They're
to
well
the
educated.
voters.
They're very well
Yes.
educated,
Yeah.
right? They're very well coordinated in their messaging, right? Their messaging doesn't stray from each other
Right.
widely, right?
Yeah.
It is about affordability, whether that be housing, whether that be education, whether that be childcare,
Yeah.
right? And that's just what they run on, right? Like as a principle for that particular branch of the Democratic Party, in terms of the DSA movement.
They're strong
but
advocacy. They're strong activists and advocacy activists. So they know how to speak and keep a message. They're well
educated, right?
And they're
They
strong
have
with
their
the numbers.
bachelor's, masters.
Yeah.
They're well informed when it comes to that. I think that also helps, right?
Yeah.
But the main thing is that they're young, right? And what I want the viewers to understand is the younger the candidate, the more ownership in terms of getting things done is that has to happen. Otherwise, they will not be seated again. Right?
Hold on. Break that down again. What do you mean exactly when you say that, Mike? Just
younger the younger the candidate, right? If they're not successful in what they do in terms of their promises, they will not be elected again.
I got you. Right. It's
right?
incumbent upon them. Yeah, it's incumbent upon them to do something as soon as they get the power. Yeah, to act, to break down walls. Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. That's why Mondami was so aggressive, because now he has done something. They got years to look at what he's done, and they can't say, well, he's been in power, he didn't do anything. No, what they have is his example, and they're like, no, the dude did what he got in there, and he got busy. He didn't wait. He didn't come with excuses. Maybe some of the things may not have totally happened, right? But that's not the case right now anyway. But even if a couple of things that he tried didn't happen, right, it wouldn't be because he didn't get out there and actually try to do it. Right?
There you go.
Yeah, right? yeah.
And, obviously the political structure is still going to maintain
Donovan, what's up?
To an extent.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right?
Keep going.
That political structure is still going to maintain to an extent. But the younger the candidate, the more ownership they have to produce and really go on their word, right? They have to put up legislation to their governor, right? Because a lot of these are more local positions, so they have to appeal either to their mayor or to their governor, in order to get a lot of these things passed, right? It's still politics, still has a structure. It doesn't mean that these things just happen, right? Just because they run on it doesn't mean it just happens.
Right.
But as long as they're advocating for it, they have a cohesive plan, and they show their constituents who voted them in that this is truly what they're running on.
But you know what?
And so even to circle back to Mamdani,
oh yeah, go ahead.
He now is setting up the platform to get reelected early on now for his eventual second term as mayor in New York City, and eventually, other positions such as governor of New York, and then running forward to continue to grow his political career, right? Go ahead,
right. What I was going to say is that actually in terms of Colorado, or in terms of anybody having to work with any rep that gets elected having to work with the governor, a mayor, or somebody like that, right? Actually, I've been in a situation before where you dealing with people that are used to having power ahead of you or above you, right, that you need to work with and communicate. But in my experience, if you show them you know what the hell you're talking about and that you've done all the work, leading up to this point that you actually understand exactly how things work, what has been done in the past, what has not been done, why, and what can happen easily. And, you know, if you know what you're doing, you can actually get a lot more done from people that you may not think ever you would. Look at how Trump behaved around Mom Donnie. There's something there. It's because he knows. He's able to tell Trump exactly how he's going to get things done, how things are going to play out, right? And how it's not going to look good for him either way if he attempts to, play against this movement, right? So I think it's like that with the governors, man. They know that these DSA people are actually, that they know their civics, that they know their business, that they know that they're knowledgeable about not only just their city, but the entire country. The politics of the country, the laws of the country, federal level, local level, right? The business, right? Business, social issues, right? Government, how government works on the local level, federal level, the numbers behind how many, people have access to childcare, how many people have access to healthcare. They know all the data better than, they're the ones that's pushing the envelope. When you look at, I'm not trying to be on census, but when you look at what's been going on in the United States, collectively, they've been dumbing people down. When you listen to people like MAGA Mike Johnson, man, you don't learn a damn thing about how government works listening to MAGA Mike Johnson. He doesn't say nothing about it. Republicans, they don't talk civics, bro, openly. You know what I'm saying? They don't talk numbers openly. And when they do, it's always skewed and limited. You see what I mean? So I don't think a smart governor would want to play that game with some of these new folks coming in, because it ain't going to play off. It's not going to play out the way it always has. These people don't want to be bought out like Eric Adams. You see what I mean? They hate corruption, bro. They hate it to the T, and they're already talking about corruption on the way in. They're waving the AIPAC flag and shit, saying AIPAC is corruption. They're doing that on the way into the seat, So they're coming after any kind of corruption, But go ahead.
No, so for instance, I mean, and we'll circle back to just right now once you mention AIPAC, but we'll circle back to that. But to circle over the last topic you touched, for instance, we'll use Mom Donnie, right? Mm-hmm. So Mom Donnie essentially wanted to have a wealth tax, which is technically a housing tax on houses that are a progressive tax on houses that are worth $5 million or more. Mm-hmm. Where the average home in New York City, about 60% or 70% of them are under that $2 million mark, right? So essentially it's a wealth tax on homes that are valued over $5 million.
Okay.
And as long as it's not your primary residence, that you would be exempt from this tax, right?
Okay.
But it's a progressive tax, so everything after $5 million. So $5 million is the baseline. If that property is past that $5 million marker, now you get an additional 1% for every 100,000, if I'm not mistaken.
So if it's
that
not
$5 million.
Yeah, and if it's not your own, if it's not your only residence, right? Then you're not.
There you go.
Then you're not exempt from that tax if it's over $5 million.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Which is a progressive view, right? Which is a progressive view, because obviously, if
and
you
it's
own
also
more
a
than one
numbers.
property,
It's also a numbers thing. They check the numbers out in advance before they even came up with that value, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Because they know how many constituents it would affect, right? How many individuals it would affect,
right?
And so essentially, he did that because there were, as a city, we were getting a lot of pushback for a billionaire tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a 2% billionaire tax that he was floating for the city, and so since he got a lot of pushback on that, he instead settled for the lesser, which was this $5 million and above.
Mm-hmm.
Progressive tax.
You know,
right?
something, bro? Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, I'm glad you breaking this down, because listen, I've heard people spreading lies about this, not wealth tax, but the tax on the tax on apartments or property, right? I've heard people lying about it. I've heard people talking about it like it's going to affect people that have properties that are worth $1 million or 500,000 or just average families, bro.
I'll do you one better.
Disinformation is crazy out there. Yeah, go ahead.
It's insane. It's insane. But you won't know until you educate yourself, right? So I'll give you an example, right? Around 70% of the homes are valued at 1.5 and under in New York City, right? And it would take about 30 to 35 years at the average rate of appreciation for those homes to reach that $5 million mark. Right. And that's at 5%. That's at the high end. So if your home is valued at around 1 million to 1.5 million and at a 5% appreciation, which is one of the highest rates, it would take you about 30 to 35 years to reach that $5 million marker.
Right. Okay. So wow.
It's not going to affect that homeowner of a home until 30 to 35 years. You might not even be here. The house is already paid off, right? The house is already paid off, right? Because we're talking 30-year mortgages, right?
And if your child inherits it, it's the same thing. It won't be that reach that value anyway. And that will be much later. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it's still good for later. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, you wanted to say something else? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of disinformation. So to circle back to this tax on the 5 million and up, it was a tax proposed that Kathy Hochul, our governor, so there's only so much within a New York City mayor's power he can do, right? So that has to get passed in conjunction with the governor. The governor for the longest was avoiding it. She said it was not going to happen. And eventually she capitulated and she folded and said, you know what, we're going to pass this, right? So it goes to show that when you have the support on a local level and you're able to challenge even your higher ups, your established gems like the Kathy Hochul's of the world, that these bills can be forced in or essentially passed, and there has to be an agreed upon handshake, even if they don't necessarily agree, because Kathy Hochul didn't essentially, but she understood that with 8 million, so there's 8 million individuals in New York and 11 million in the outer parts of the state. The majority, depending on how New York City votes, that's usually who will be the next governor. Kathy Hochul is coming up for re-election now, right? So if she didn't pass this bill, do you think New Yorkers who overwhelmingly support Mamdani would vote for Kathy Hochul? They won't, right? That they won't, right? So she was forced to capitulate to his plan on the $5 million tax homes in general, because if not, she now faces not getting reelected, right? That is the consequence. Now you don't get reelected.
Basically,
but go ahead, B.
Basically, it sounds like DSA, they're more politically savvy. They're more politically savvy than Republicans or centrist Democrats would. Now, I'm gonna stop framing it that way. These DSA is more politically savvy than the billionaire class would like any politician to be. I'll put it that way, right? Because they know how to lay out their game plan piece by piece, and they know how to make the dominoes fall, right? Within this environment of money counts. It's always money. They didn't do it. They didn't win because of money, and they're not getting people to go along with them because of money. No, this is not getting centrist Democrats to go along with DSA. Is not about money. It's about how they're laying out their game plan. They're outdoing them, bro. They're outdoing people. I mean, that's how I see it. Just on civics, and activism. Exactly. They're just out. Right. They're outperforming.
They're outperforming, and obviously I'll use Mamdani again because someone in the chat said New York is depreciating. Wrong. New York still year over year mints the most millionaires in the U.S. In America, New York City mints the most millionaires. Period. This is a fact. You can Google it. You can look it up. Yeah. Right. And it has to do with a plethora of things, but mainly because of our education system and our pay rate. Yeah. Right. That goes along with that education system. we mint the most millionaires, period. Right? There is no other city that mints the most millionaires in America other than New York City. Right? Properties have not gone down. They won't go down. And it has nothing to do with the immigrants. Right?
Right.
And so I'll break it
New
down
York's
a little
always
bit even
been
further.
an industrious city, bro. It's always been.
Always.
It's
We're a
in the
financial
people's blood.
capital. That doesn't change.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reason why is because we have such a dense city, and that dense city has a lot of net worth within that city, right? So that validates a lot of financial
policy,
moves, right?
The policy. Yeah,
exactly.
It validates the policy, man. Yeah, exactly, man.
And so it's why the epicenter of the DSA movement is here in New York City.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when we look at that, we'll circle, again, it all is a part of a cohesive plan. When we talk about rent freezes, because that's the next talking point when it comes to a lot of conservatives in New York. Oh, rent freezes, they're killing landlords. Only 6% of landlords will be affected, and only 6% of landlords ever report financial distress. The rest of the landlords, you have 70% of the landlords that own 10 or more properties.
Your property has to be valued at $5 million, over $5 million. Right.
And even when it comes to the rent freeze affects rent stabilized apartments only, which is about 1 million units in New York, and there's around 2.5 million units overall. So it's about 40 to 45% of the market that is in a rent freeze.
Oh, this is the rent freeze. Okay, I got you. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
When we look at the rent freeze, so with the rent freeze for the next 2 years, in conjunction with the fast forwarding of affordable housing, essentially the plan is to slow down the growth or the inequality when it comes to housing. Right? Because now once that rent freeze is up for renewal again, the increases in your rental agreements would be a lot less than your 5%, 6%, or 4%. It'll be around 1 or 2%, which is more aligned with inflation, right? Where here in New York City, your average rental increase would surpass even inflation to around, for 2 years, it's around like 4.5%. And if it's private, it's even worse. It's around 6%.
Yeah, so you can't do that. You can't. There's no option to do that. That's poor. That's poor policy, then, right?
Exactly, and that's what leads to the unaffordability increase when it comes to New York City or any major city. We're just obviously
sustainability.
We feel it on a hyper level.
Yeah, sustainability
but the country
also.
feels it as a whole.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So
it's got to be sustainable growth. Yeah.
Exactly, with the conjunction of the rent freeze, and within that 2-year time frame, the increase of affordable housing and rent stabilized housing, that essentially would slow down the average increase year over year in your rental lease. And that's kind of that's the idea behind the rent freeze, right? Let the city catch up in terms of affordable housing, so that way we can slow down what the increases in your lease and your rental leases look like, so it makes it more affordable long term, right?
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Now let me just address the viewers real quick. Listen, the panel link is in the chat. If you want to come up and talk to us one-on-one, ask some questions, have a dialogue about a few things, you're welcome to come up. The link is in the chat. All you got to do is click it, make sure you have Discord on your phone first, right? It's an app, or you could click this link and it will direct you to Discord, right? Either one, download it, and then that is the direct link to this particular conversation we're having right now. So it works for both. It can work as a download link, I think, and then either way, you will get directly to us once you have Discord on your phone and you click that link. The other thing I was going to say is, like, yo, we got like over 100 people watching. Do me a favor, click the like button. If you're watching from your TV, pick up your remote and click the like button. It helps it go for a long way. People in the chat, if you haven't clicked the like button, do me a favor, click the like button, because listen, we play fair around here. The chat is open. The chat is not closed. Subscribe too, by the way. It's not even, you're in the chat for free. You don't even have to be a subscriber to be there, but you could like the video. You could subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. You're spending your time here. So go ahead and like the video. Also, those that are watching on their mobile phones, do me a favor, click the like button. subscribe also. If you've been here for more than 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, or whatever, let's get it going. Now, back to let's check out a little more. Thanks for the information, by the way, about the rent freeze and about the tax on the properties, right? Over $5 million value in New York City, because it's helpful to know, because there's a lot of disinformation, and I think the public needs to know that there is going to be way more disinformation about the Democratic Socialist Party and their agenda than you've ever seen disinformation against any party ever, right? They're going to target this party because this party is about equity, right? It's about equity, American citizens having equity in their country, right? That's something Republican middle class and lower class people that voted for Trump complain about, right? Housing prices, right? Rent prices, inflation, right? Well, hey, if you didn't like the center Democrats, you might want to think about some of the policies of the DSA, right? Because don't be confused by the name. Think about this. Trump got in a war with Iran. He got in a war with Iran. And in the end, he started calling for quote unquote allies to come and help. That's what Trump did. And he spoke a lot about, we need the allies to come and help. Why are they not coming and help? They need to come and help. The people that he asked to come and help are countries that all have universal health care, all have universal education, all have housing insurance, right? You see these kind of things that the DSA is talking about implementing in the U.S. So are those communist countries that he called to help? Is Denmark a communist country? Is Germany a communist country? Is Sweden a communist country? Is Belgium a communist country? Is Portugal a communist country? Spain? Italy? What's going on here? You see what I mean? So we have to just face that is what's going on here. If other people that live in capitalistic countries found a way to have universal health care for their citizens, universal education for their citizens, housing insurance for their citizens in their capitalistic countries, then the United States as a capitalistic country can do the same. They don't have to become communist. And guess what? It's something else. It's not even called, I don't even know why people call it democratic socialist, but there's a lot of terms like that. In Europe, it's called social democrats, but it's not the only way. It's not the name that counts. They got different names. They might have socialists. They might have all kinds of names, but it's not that. It's not the name, because these policies are policies for that the blue meaning and the right wing in Denmark, and also the center, the business people like those policies, and the left like those policies. So, and it doesn't matter if your party is called Socialist Democrats or it's called the People's Party. Okay, it doesn't matter. They're all in line with those policies of the DSA. Like Democratic, yeah, seriously. So don't be fooled. Do your research. Now. Let me ask you a question. How many of you in the chat know of any political parties, or can you name a left and a right political party of any European nation? Put it in the chat. If you can name a left and a right party in any European nation, put it in the chat. I'm going to name one here. Let's see here. A right one is that's Dance Folker Party and Enhills Listen. Okay. There we go. That's for Denmark. That's far right and far left, quote unquote. Right. I'm just curious about how many people in the chat actually know anything about politics in Europe, how the governments run. Because when we use these terms and we call things people communists, we should understand if we call DSA communists for wanting the things that they're asking for, demanding, we're basically calling every NATO nation communist. You know, and if you, the more you learn about European politics, the more you will realize what I'm saying is facts. So let's see here. How many people could name? It's not really that many people that could name a party from the left and a party from the right. Okay. Zunkerfried said the Green Party, Labor Party. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Before
Yeah.
we finish, someone hopped up, Falcata, but he or she just left. They were up on the Discord.
Okay, Falcata, hop back up. Hop back up if you don't mind. There you go. Let me put the link back in the chat too. Yeah, it's a lot of people that seem to know a lot of stuff, but when you ask them stuff, you find out they don't really know. And I guess that's why a lot of people don't hop up. Okay, let me see here. Johannes says Germany is SPD and CDU. There you go. There you go. Right. I'm just curious about that. Asking, it doesn't matter. If you don't, you don't. It's a good thing to realize that you don't. And maybe you can learn a little about it because it's going to matter. You need to understand often in Europe, the right and the left and the center all agree with these kind of things that that DSA is talking about in the U.S. They're not even considered big deals. They're not even considered left or right they're just considered center politics in the country, and yet we're calling them communists and shit. They think that's going to work. They call Kamala Harris communist. But in any case, let's play some more. The chat, the panel is open here.
Hey, Falcata's up. He's up. He or she is up.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going? You there?
I'm doing good.
Okay. Okay, let me know what. Yeah, you're from Cali, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were okay. Welcome back. Remind people who you are real quick, what your politics are about, and then let's go. Let us know what you're thinking.
I'm pretty hard left. Okay. I recognize the distinction, I guess, in understanding terms such as these. So, like, if someone wants to talk about Marxism, if someone wants to talk about communism, I'm well versed in stuff. Like, I don't know. I think in the U.S. it's been like very much a boogeyman term.
Yeah,
and it wasn't always the case.
Right. Yeah. True.
And
true.
A lot of it has to do with the Red Scare bullshit.
Yeah, the Cold War, and yeah, it's true. That's you're right. You're right. Yeah. We still kind of hung over from that, and we generalize it. A lot of us don't even know what that was even about. Even when you ask people what's the Red Scare, what's the Red Bloc, what is the Cold War, a lot of them can't really tell you in any in-depth manner, right? It's just a lot of people don't even know, bro. To be honest. Yeah,
and it's not the fault of the people themselves. It's really the powers of our own government engaging in this anti-communist, anti-socialist rhetoric.
Yeah, different. Yeah,
there's been an active effort to sort of basically censor people even talking about this. Like, if you're some kind of, well, maybe not today if you're a professor doing it, but there's very, very few professors that will even talk about these things, because there will be blowback for even mentioning these kinds of things.
It's so sad, man, because everyone else is free. Europe is free to discuss these dynamics, to discuss all of those different, capitalism. I mean, they're just different systems, and it doesn't mean anything because you can mix the systems. You could take the best from any of them and make it happen.
Yeah.
The United States is not 100% capitalist. It doesn't do things only The military, is that a capitalist endeavor?
Well, I guess when it comes to talking about whether that's socialism or whatever,
right,
I think the important distinction with that is that's not necessarily, like, I draw the line in recognizing that, like, a military is not socialist. That's just a part of government power.
Right. But how you pay for it?
Before you finish that sentence, I would not strongly disagree, but disagree, because we can look at countries like Russia who have a private military. We could always privately, contract a military outside of the U.S. to not have it subsidized or socialized in terms of us paying a direct military, right? So technically, I would say it is somewhat of a form, right? I think it's obviously a lot of countries have their own military, but in most part, we do have examples where militaries are privatized.
How do we pay for it? How do we? It's not private paid for. It's public money. It's 100% public paid by taxes.
Like I don't know. I guess before I even begin this conversation is like, how would I find having to define things? Like, I want to know like where you're coming from.
Is it because
socialism.
Is it because the militaries are inherently violent, right? They have wars. They play a part in war, and I can understand that to that degree. I can understand where you're coming from. Nobody wants to coin that as socialism, right? I get that. I understand that.
Well, no, I recognize it as a form of state power. I mean, all states have militaries.
But I'm talking about how it's paid for specifically. That's basically it. It's a public project. The people pay for it. It's the people's money, right?
I call it socialism.
But
I would call it a social policy.
Yeah. I mean, even before socialism even existed, you had...
It's not socialism. It's not socialism. You're right, though, Michael. I heard you. You said socialist project.
Okay, so
a socialist project, a socialist policy, right? It's not inherently a systematic form of socialism. It is one of the policies that we subsidize in a social manner, right? Our taxpayer dollars goes to our military to support our well-being, right? And that is a social policy in itself. It may not be direct socialism, right? But we could always privatize anything, right? So anything that's not privatized essentially is a form of a social policy. That's kind of what I'm trying to say, right? There's a difference between the nuances of like direct socialism or what that structure would look like, but we do have examples of social policies, and that just happens to be one of those, right? Social Security is another social policy that we have, right? When we have welfare, any form of welfare in terms of nutritional programs that are granted by the federal government that comes from our taxpayer dollars is a social policy, right? Not necessarily socialism, but is a social policy, right?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense now. Yeah.
And check this out. We brag about our military. We brag about it being the best, and it's totally paid for, sponsored by the taxpayer. 100% tax, and we brag about it. So why can't we brag about education that way? Why can't our education system be the best that way, since our military is? Why can't our healthcare system be the best that way, since our military is the best?
Well, I mean, it deals with the privatization. Even our own military and militaries, like you said, around the world, they kowtow to private corporations.
Yeah, we have some mixture in there. That's true. I understand you. But actually, that's not the same though, because I understand you. We work with some of our public money goes to these private companies too, right? But we don't brag about them. We brag about our rank and file military, right?
Yeah, we're not interested in bragging about those because it's the corporations in power that they're the ones getting all the money. They're the ones benefiting from all of this.
Yeah, they get our money and they're making. Yeah, they get it. It's the same thing with this. What do you call it? Elon Musk. It's our money, and yet they're able to benefit themselves privately from our public taxpayer dollars. But in any case, I didn't want to stick on this per se.
No, I got it.
But in any case, let's get back to the DSA candidates. Now, let me ask you this, and both of you guys, right? Don't you find it interesting, or is it just me, or does it sound like the Republicans are asking centrist Democrats to work with them again? Why are they looking towards centrist Democrats to do something?
Well, I can answer that.
Go ahead.
The Democratic Socialists running are a direct threat to the power structure, right? And there is a distinction between social democracy and democratic socialism.
Sure.
And I'll tell you what the distinction is. Democratic socialists do believe, they may not say it outright, but they do believe in replacing capitalism with something called workplace democracy. And effectively what workplace democracy is where the workers have control over their own production and participate through either maybe with a board of directees or whatever, or with elected officials, basically the same way that democracies operate on, but you bring it to the workplace.
More unionized? Is that a better way to say it? More unionized?
Yeah. It's a step beyond unionization.
Yeah, it's a step beyond it, but basically it's in that direction, right? It's because the workers get more equity out of their labor, right? I mean, essentially, they have more rights when they're a laborer, right? Yeah, I got you.
They may not, party members in the DSA may not directly talk about this, but I don't know, when I see Fox and shit like this fear-mongering over socialism and communism, it's fucking stupid.
It's stupid, bro.
I want them, I want them to be afraid. I really don't care at this point. They should be afraid.
Yeah,
but look, the current DSA movement, right? The current DSA movement, and I do agree to an extent with what you just said, but I do think that those are different levels of progression, right? So right now, where they are trying to advocate for more union power, right? And that's more, and union power is a form of workers' rights. Right. So more workers' rights, right? More unionization that allows for the workers to collectively have more say, right? More power in terms of how they bargain when it comes to pay raises, right? Those pay raises now with a collective power now allows for them to argue for consistent raises that are in alignment with inflation, right? Which combats affordability now, right? Because you're now getting a pay increase in accordance to inflation. So your paycheck doesn't look less year over year, which happens now, right? If you have a job and you get paid, a 25-cent raise, a 50-cent raise, a $1 raise, and not the 3% of your overall earnings, you are losing money year over year. And that has added to the affordability issue in America. Right, that has added to the affordability issue in America, because even if you're getting paid $50,000 today, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, if inflation is, let's say, 4% every year, that's 20% less. If you're not getting a pay raise in accordance to inflation, in 4 years, your paycheck is worth 20% less.
Yeah.
Right. In 8 years, that's 40% less. Right.
Exactly.
And that contributes to the major unaffordability when it comes to America.
Yeah. Your wages got to stay up with inflation.
Exactly.
Wages have to stay up with inflation. Otherwise, you're drowning people and you're watching them drown. Yeah. It's crazy. Yo, I got to say this. We got 125 people or 30 people watching. Do me a favor. Click the like button. We got 36 likes. Come on now. Let's get the likes up, y'all. Please. It's going to help more people find the stream now, but also important later, too, so they can get the same information you're watching. Yo, but go ahead. You were going to say more, Michael?
And so that from an economic standpoint, if you have raises and obviously in the form of more union bargaining, that those pay wages keep up with inflation or even surpass in a mild manner, that they don't want that, because that cuts into profit margins, right? That cuts into profit margins of these companies, right? And so with that said, now they don't want that profit margin. They rather pay that CEO 30 to 40 mil a year.
Yeah, the CEO would rather get the money instead of the worker who's going to work for 40 hours a week. Instead of them getting a working wage, instead of them getting some extra money in their pocket, buying things for their kids, going on a trip, a road trip with their kids, having a nice weekend out with their kids, doing activities with their kids. Instead, that worker is basically has nothing left because the price of everything else keeps going up around them. And who would be against sustainability? You know, if
I think that's the proper rhetoric right there. You hit it right on the nose. It's affordability in America is really sustainability, right? It is sustainability. You hit it right on the nose. That is the proper verbiage. Sustainability.
And if you're talking about families, right, Americans, if people are out there talking about you won't replace us, then obviously you care about your family, right? Well, you're getting replaced when the cost of goods, when the inflation is higher and your wage is not keeping up with it. That is replacement right there. That is where the crux of replacement is, because you are going to slowly dwindle out of the picture, curl up and die. You're getting pushed out of the picture. You see? So, and we're talking about the average person. Obviously, when someone says you won't replace us, they're not talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going to be here. But the people that ain't Elon Musk, the people that make under $1 million a year, their ass is on the chopping block.
You're right.
Oh,
I mean,
one more question.
Even then, they're still going to be rich, right? They're still going to be rich beyond rich. I don't think people understand what a $900 billion net worth means. This man could spend tens of millions a day for the rest of his life and still have billions of dollars. Like, they don't understand what that means. And when we talk about sustainability, if you have, pay wages in accordance to inflation in general, every other product you're consuming, like food and all these other things, still have inflation rates. That at least allows for you to continue to not feel the heavy impact and burden of all those things, inflation at once, while your pay doesn't get risen at the same rate, right? When you have sustainability in one aspect, especially a main aspect like housing, that allows for you to comfortably deal with the inflation that comes along with food, that comes along with utilities. Right now, you can properly afford those things even with them inflating, because your main responsibility, like housing, is now sustainable.
Well,
right?
I tell you what.
People fearmonger around those wordings, and they lack the understanding behind it. Go ahead, V.
Yeah, you're right. And here's the thing. That's how it's done in every other NATO nation, which you just described, right? And so the thing is, why would Trump call nations that practice that theory that you just mentioned? Why would Trump call them and need help when he's going to war with Iran? If that wasn't working. If it wasn't working, you obviously don't call countries that they don't have their shit together, right? Their economies aren't strong, right? You don't call them. You don't call weak people to come help you, do you? Right? No, you call strong ones, right? And it just so happens that all the people that he called have universal health care, universal education, housing insurance, right? So why call those people if you're better? If your system is better, why do you need those people? So I'm going to ask everybody in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you got $1 million or more. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. I'm just curious because I like to qualify the comments. I like to know who's capping for Elon Musk and doesn't have no money in their pocket. Woo! I like to know who's capping for Elon Musk and don't have any money in their pocket. Okay? Let's see.
That's like also the thing too in the US is people feel ashamed of their own wealth if they're poor, and they take on like a personification of like temporarily embarrassed like millionaire or whatever. So like
facts, yo.
these kinds of people that, are working literally at the poverty line, they'll still probably vote red and still say the same shit, but their life's not going to get any better.
Now, the next question is, for you millionaires, can you prove it? The ones of you that got $1 million, can you prove it? Can you prove it to us here in the chat? Show us something. Hop up on the panel. We got a camera. Show us how you living. Come on. Hop up on. Let me put the link down here. I want to see something. You could show us what you got, man. We won't show anybody else. Show us on the panel what you got. You know, you could open your camera up on the Discord. I want to see what $1 million look like. You know, is it in your house? Is it in your vehicle? What is it in? What is it? Show me the bank account. Just open it up and show us on the screen and shit. Let's see. I'm curious because I don't buy it.
For these millionaires and billionaires, I don't buy it, right? And before I buy it, I would hope that they would have a basic understanding of economics. And what we're saying isn't communism. You have to go define communism. These are social policies to offset the negative aspects of extreme capitalism. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Right? When we have 70% of the wealth controlled by 10% of individuals, and you're still here arguing on behalf of individuals who don't know your name, who don't care, and are gonna make money regardless, just a fraction of a percentage less because they decided to pay a percentage two more to offset the unaffordability and the wealth inequality. These are topics that they just don't understand. And what happens is this is what happens when you have uneducated people who become adults, pay taxes, and work a job for 20 to 30 years and assume that that's life without being educated on the finer nuances of economics.
Facts.
That's where America has failed. The education level. Forget it. You could be poor, but still be educated and know when to argue for something that is going to benefit you, and not only you, the mass of the people. To a more robust middle class leads for a better, stable economy. Our economy is held up by these millionaires and billionaires and not by the middle class. That is the issue.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
It's a math game. So, you know, obviously, you know, it also tells you about how people think, you know, which is why I say I don't believe it, because to walk around with this idea of me and want something that doesn't work for the multitude, at least in your community, at least in your, you know, the spaces you go, right? That's not sustainable. It's not sustainable anyway. You know, it creates other dynamics like crime, inequities, you know, things like this, you know. So if that's your idea of having a good time, watching yourself have more than most of the people around you, if that's how you have a good time, okay, but it really speaks for you. But I think one person is hopping up on the panel because I saw them. They're not in the chat anymore. And there's somebody else that's still in the chat. So, you know, they ain't coming up because you can't still be in the chat and be trying to come up and show us what you got. So, but in any case, if you want to come up and prove to people you got $1 million or something close to it, let us see what it looks like. I don't know what it see. Look, I have on a cap. It doesn't cost anything. You know, if I had $1 million, maybe I would buy the cap. $1 million is not a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? But I really just wanted to understand why someone that has less than $1 million would cap for somebody like Elon Musk. And what I think happens is that you have trolls on the internet and they pretend as anonymous and unidentified people, and they kind of get used to that. But here we don't go for that. You actually have to prove it, you know, otherwise nobody's going to believe you. But welcome. You can stay in the chat though. The chat is open. Yeah, the chat's open. So you don't even have to subscribe if you don't feel like you got that on you. It's all good. But for those of you that are cool, go ahead and subscribe. Click the like button. Right. I appreciate that a lot. We got 132 people watching. Now let's hear a little bit more. Actually, let's go on. Let me hear just a little bit more of this commentary, and then I want to go over to Kamala Harris. It's interesting, something that happened recently in the last 24 hours. So let's go.
Of course, covered the Dem Tea Party here before. I feel like a lot of the corporate press did, and we would joke about it a bit, but then it became pretty obvious it was very serious. This is the Dem Tea Party. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at this post from Daniel right now, 3 Congress members, well, basically it says he's counting 15 Dem incumbents who have lost to a challenger to their left. So 3 Congress members, 4 state senators, 8 state House members. That's the Democrat Tea Party. That's
yes.
it.
And we had a stunted Tea Party basically in 2017, 2018, when you got the first squad wave. The problem then was that there was not really what the Republican Tea Party had in 09 and 10 was conservative media. Once Eric Cantor got beaten by Brat in Virginia, and once you started to see all of these people coming out to these protests around Tax Day and then in the summer of 2009, Fox News flipped completely. They're like, all right, this Republican establishment world is done. Like, we are throwing our weight in with the Tea Party. And that just shifted the entire balance of power. In 2017 and 18, when the Democrats came with their own version of a Tea Party, and you had AOC and the others, the New York Times, CNN, and MSNBC stayed very firmly with the Democratic Party establishment and said, no, that way lies ruin. The Democratic establishment is the way to resist Trump.
Right.
And they elevated resisting Trump and said, the way we're going to do, we need Schumer and Pelosi and these tested fighters.
Although they put AOC in magazine covers and that sort of thing, but
yes, but she got way. There was a period.
They weren't doing that for Dave Brat.
Right, and there was a period in right, but Dave Brat's
He's
not his
not
summer.
AOC.
There was a period in 2019 where her name, AOC's name recognition, was like triple among conservatives what it was among liberals.
Yep.
Because Fox was covering her every single day, and you rarely see her mentioned.
They scared of AOC, actually. They are scared of her, yeah. They, the attention put her in position, and now they don't want people focusing on that party. They're scared. They're the media. I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about the goddamn conservatives, the billionaires. They're scared. So these kind of strict right-wing channels, they got marching orders, don't run AOC, because they know that the first thing that's going to happen is taxes on the billionaires, but it's going to happen, right? So they're totally fearing that right now. Moderate Democrats may not have done it. Biden talked about it, but Biden is willing to work with others. He's not, he had a different way of leading, right? But that's not everybody's style. Some people are like, you could join us on this if you want or not. We're going to do it anyway without you. That's kind of how Republicans work. And that's how a left would work that's responding to MAGA. That's responding to Trump, because a left watched Trump get everything they wanted. And so, of course, he showed the way for the left, how to get things happening. Like, you're going to do it anyway if you don't join us. So you wanted to say something like there? About AOC?
I think, like we spoke on her just, not too long ago when I mentioned the DSA movement. She was the first DSA candidate and the most visible DSA candidate. And she comes from and was elected here in New York, right? One of the most capitalist, centrist places in the U.S.
Facts.
New York City, right?
Extremely capitalist. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And so when we look at that, it goes to show that her message, and not only her message, her movement trickled down years later into the Mamdanis of the world, right? Into the other two DSA candidates who more recently won congressional seats here in the midterms. So, who essentially is the Democratic incumbent who overturned someone who's been in power for 30 years. 30 years, right? It goes to show when we speak on an AOC, I do believe that, obviously she was hyper focused on in the beginning, and they realized, hey, look, this movement and her rhetoric is gaining traction.
It's resonating.
Let's take away that spotlight.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
And even with them taking that away, we still now have other DSA candidates now in the form of your Mamdanis of the world, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, that's a win, and yes, AOC has had to turn down her rhetoric with more visibility because of the lack of visibility of her party as a whole. And now you see her more in the spotlight because the DSA movement is now gaining traction. It's now growing legs, right? And so now she can be more visible at her notable level
Donald Trump
right
is
now where she
deeply
has
ill, and that
in
is
Congress, because she can speak now. Now she doesn't have those established Democrats telling her to be quiet or giving her the agenda that she has to play by in order to, that fall in line movement. She no longer, and necessarily, obviously, she still will do it to an extent, but now she's more visible, and now she has more leeway, if you want to say that, because the DSA movement has more legs, right? And again, for those who don't understand economics, obviously all those conservatives or those libertarians, because those are two different things, right? You can be a libertarian and not be a conservative. You can be a conservative and not libertarian. But for the libertarians in particular who want unchecked capitalism, they don't understand economics, right? Please take your time and understand what social policies do to offset the wealth inequality that hyper capitalism brings. And that's what this DSA movement represents, right? They represent sustainability. We call it affordability because that's what Americans understand, but it is more sustainability, being able to stay where you're at and not be displaced in 5, 4, 10 years, being able to grow a home with that stability through affordability and something as basic as housing, something as basic as provided childcare, right? So we can grow our population. We can comfortably have,
so you won't be replaced. So you won't be replaced.
Right? You talk about this replacement. The replacement starts with you being priced
with policy.
out. Not having affordability.
Boom. And you know something? I understand this because we had Trump and we've had this Republican Party, and a lot of people that voted for Trump lost their health care, bro. A lot of them. So when you see a person like AOC, right? She's popular, so the boogeyman effect doesn't work on her anymore. Right? It's not the same boogeyman they throwing on Mondami, right? So she has this popularity, right? And she's talking about housing. She's talking about issues that even right-wing people understand, healthcare. And you know how you know that it's true? You know how? Let me ask the people in the chat. Do you think that Republicans were upset because they lost their healthcare? Do you think Republicans lost healthcare under Trump? Do you think any of them are upset about that? Put a 1 in the chat if you think there's plenty of Republicans that lost their health care because of MAGA and Trump's policies, the Republicans' policy in this term. Put a 1 in the chat if you think there's plenty of them. Put a 2 in the chat if you think it's just fiction, that there's no Republicans that lost their health care and it's not really going to be an issue in this midterm elections coming up. I think there's plenty of Republicans, so I'm going to put a 1 in the chat. I think a lot of them lost their health care due to the MAGA Mike Johnson and the rest, but I'm curious. I want to see everybody participate because the chat is open too. So if you're in the chat and you want it to stay on open mode, please just put a 1 or a 2 in the chat. If you think Republicans are upset about losing health care, if you think any of them lost their health care, put a 1 in the chat. If you think they didn't, and that there's not Republicans who lost their health care because of Trump, put a 2 in the chat. All right. If you don't think any of them lost it or that's not going to be an issue, put a 2 in the chat. I'm just curious. And yeah, okay, Linda put a 2. She doesn't think there's any, right? Okay, most people think that there are because I watch the news and I've seen plenty of them, myself talk about it in real time. So let me see here. Let's play one of them so people are aware of what happened. These are the people that are going to appeal, that AOC appeals to, you see, because she actually didn't want this woman to lose her health care. These are the people Mondami and others in the DSA, they're going to appeal to because they're not making excuses about providing these things. They know that this was wrong. What happened to this lady, even though she voted for Trump, what happened to her was wrong. Let's listen.
Just keeping my fingers crossed because if an auto accident occurred again without insurance, I'd be homeless. Period. I'd be homeless. This is not politics. This is life. This is life or death, period. And I don't want to become homeless because I get in a car accident. I mean, these are things out of your control. And it's like we're being punished. I'm just rolling the dice and just keeping my fingers crossed, because if an auto accident occurred again without insurance, I'd be homeless, period. I'd be homeless. This is not politics. This is life. This is life or death, period. And I don't want to become homeless because I get in a car accident. I mean, these are things out of your control. And it's like we're being punished. I'm just rolling.
She did. Look, she was in a car accident. MAGA wants to increase her shit. She voted for Trump. She's a Trump supporter. She's not the only one, but she didn't. A lot of Republicans didn't think that Trump and them would go that far. They thought that they were just speaking out of hate and not speaking out of fact. It's crazy. And then guess what happened? They found out, no, these goddamn Republicans are actually going to cut their damn Medicare. And this is loads of people.
The dice and just keeping my fingers crossed, because if an auto accident occurred again without insurance, I'd be homeless, period. I'd be homeless. This is not politics. This is life. This is life or death, period. And I don't want to become homeless because I get in a car accident. I mean, these are things out of your control. And it's like we're being punished. I'm just rolling the dice and just keeping my fingers crossed.
Now,
because
I just got to say, this doesn't happen in Denmark. This doesn't exist in Denmark. This doesn't exist in Germany. This does not really existing, because, right, everyone has right to health care pretty much. Right now, let me see. This isn't the only one. Do me a favor. Click the like button, y'all. Everybody click the like button. If you haven't clicked the like button, do me a favor and click it. Now, this is not the only story, right? There's more stories like this, which is insane. But look, there's more. There's more people that have lost their health care, and they're like, what the hell is going on with this with this administration? But for some reason, Republicans often don't like to online. They don't seem to like to talk about these things, right? Let me see some more. Look at this. There might be some more moments here. Let me see, Doctor. I'm sorry. I was just reading something. There's more stories like this. Let me see. Let me try. There's a whole slew of them. Look, here we go. Let's pull this one up. Let me get this back. Sorry. Here we go. Just so people can hear what it sounds like.
Real legislation, real policy included that would extend these tax credits to make healthcare more affordable for millions of people across the country. They chose not to. And it's no surprise, Republicans for the last, 10 years or more have voted over 70 times to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
Now, this was in the last election cycle, right? And at that time, there was no DSAs out there. AOC was the only one you didn't hear. It wasn't flooding the country, right? These were the moderate Democrats, essentially, talking about healthcare. But the Republicans and MAGA and MAGA Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, they all called the moderate Democrats communist. That's what they called them. But there was a conversation. There was a big conversation about healthcare that already happened, and Republicans took it away from people. Let me see here. Let me find one more. Who is this? GOP. Look, here we go.
Or doing anything about the massive expensive cost of healthcare. Why do you think it's expensive? Because you literally cut a deal with insurance companies to run healthcare. You think that's going to run wild? Yeah. That's why they have 2,000% profit increases, and the American people can't afford to go to the doctor of their choice while we enrich insurance companies. And yet Republicans will complain about it, and then they'll offer milquetoast garbage like we're offering this week, and then go home at Christmas and say, look at what we're doing. We're campaigning on reducing health care. Well, congratulations. At some point, people will look at this body and say, maybe we should get rid of all 435 members of the House and all 100 members of the Senate and start over, because Congress is literally failing the American people. Or my colleagues on the other side of the aisle sit here saying, well, you guys aren't doing anything about the massive expensive cost of health care. Why do you think it's expensive? Because you literally cut a deal with insurance companies to run health care. You think that's going to run wild?
Right. These are the these are the moderates, right? The moderate Dems. And they had this whole conversation already out there. And Republicans said, no, we're not going to work with moderate Dems on this. In fact, we're going to blame the cost of health care on illegal immigrants. We're going to say that we're going to cut off their ability to get emergency care, which, because we have no plan to know in an emergency, it's not a real plan to ask a person whose head has just been is bleeding, blood is pouring out of their head. What are you going to do? Ask them for their fucking ID before you let them in the ambulance? These, but they went ahead with that anyway. So they, harming Americans, right? Who just, what if you get robbed? Someone takes your wallet, shoots you, and then the ambulance come and they say, where's your ID though? You sound American, but where's your ID? There was literally Americans getting refused health care because of this administration, like literally refused to get into the emergency room because they just didn't have an ID. That's what happened. OK, you're not always going to have an ID in an emergency, especially if somebody robs your ass or you get thrown 50 feet from your fucking car in a car accident. You see what I mean? Like, they totally changed this. Now, the conversation's been there. The people that had the conversation with them, they called extremists. Who were the extremists a year and a half ago? Moderate Democrats. That's who the extremists were. Now, because no one listened, right? Now, because people thought that the moderate Dems, they called them weak even. They even called the moderate Dems. They mocked them openly as weak, right? Now you have people running away from the, that are doing, maybe not running away, but taking control over the party, right? And you hear what this guy said. He said pretty soon the American people are going to be done with all 400, all these reps, 400 and something of them. Fuck it. American people are going to say fuck it, because guess what? Even the poor Americans who can't afford Medicaid and Medicare because the deductibles are too high, they're paying into the system that other people get access to because they have more money. They can afford the deductibles. What sense does that make? That's a broken health care system using taxpayer dollars from every person that earns any kind of paycheck, rich or poor, and then it's denying the poor access to it. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. That shouldn't go on one day, one more day. And when it goes on one more day, it means something's wrong with you. You don't know what your job is. Like, this is totally taxpayer paid. Think about this. It's taxpayer funded, but they sold it out to the corporations because they wanted a part of it to be private. And guess where all the money's getting burnt up at? The administrative level. It's not because it's getting burnt up on services, even though you get charged more for your service than you get charged in other Western countries. But it's not the that's the main problem. The main problem, or a big problem, is 30% administration fee, paperwork, just 30%. In Europe, the paperwork is no higher than 10%, lowest 5%, the administration fees for the same operation, same health care. So American people are just getting ripped off on this topic, and I'm glad that they're talking again about somebody like AOC. Right. But at the end of the day, the situation has changed. And now you have way more people that are interested in doing something about the politics than just AOC. Now it's they're taking over, essentially. But taking over so much. Guess what happened? This is an interesting new change that's happened. Let me know what you think about this one also, Michael.
Welcome back to the Take Up Political Panel Time. I'm so excited. Let me introduce you. Republican strategist Cassie Smedley, Democratic strategist Jaime Mora. Before we get to the politics, do you think it's real or not, Taylor Swift and MSG?
It's a ruse.
It's a ruse?
Yeah.
It's a whole head fake?
I think so.
Cassie, this scoop in Axios, Kamala Harris reached out to Zohran Mamdani, New York City mayor, and significantly pro-Palestinian activists to talk about things. Jaime, what's that about?
Look, I'm not surprised by it. I mean, Cassie and I talked about this for the last couple of months. I mean, this was a big piece of Kamala Harris's sort of downfall in 2024. She just could not wrap her head around talking and communicating with this wing of the Democratic Party.
And how aggrieved they felt.
And how aggrieved they felt. And we've seen recently with the DSA emerging as something that's been...
You better pay attention.
You better pay attention. And so I think she's doing her politics correctly. And obviously Mayor Mandani is the sort of mayor of the moment. So she's doing the right thing, but she's recognizing that she's got to ameliorate this before the next election.
Which means, I'm asking you, is this a tell? Is this the strongest tell of all that she's running?
I think she's doing everything she can right now to put herself in a position to run again. I think it's very likely, but there's still some consideration that she may not.
Because to me, the first tell is when she didn't run for governor.
Right, exactly. But she wants to keep black voters as close as possible as well.
Cassie?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that so many sort of hedged around whether or not they support Mamdani ahead of his election. And now you have, Kamala Harris remains the favorite in the betting market right now. And she's calling him. What I do think is interesting from a Republican perspective is Mamdani espouses so many of the things that when Kamala Harris talked about them in 2024, voters ran away from that. So it's interesting that instead of saying, what are the lessons we learned?
You see, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I think Kamala Harris should run. I don't know. I think it's better for people to focus on that when it's 2007 at least, right? No, not before. Let 2007 come. Let's deal with what's happening in the midterms. That's what's happening right now, right? Nobody knows. You won't know all your options. You won't know the different combinations, right now about 2028. But it's interesting that they're saying the same thing, that Senate Democrats were talking about a lot of these issues. Republicans didn't want to work with them, the Senate Democrats. You see, they called the Senate Democrats communists. The ones that didn't even want what DSA. DSA wants more than the center. And these people just totally cut the center Democrats totally out of every house, the House, the Senate, just totally. You have no power. Forget it. Nothing. We're not working with you at all on nothing. That's what the Republicans did. Now look what they got. You there? Damn,
yeah,
I hear the birds,
so,
bro. I hear the birds. It's early. I see. Yeah, they up early in New York, huh?
Yes, they are.
Good.
It is mostly that when we look at, obviously this Democratic strategist, he's acknowledging the fact that even Kamala Harris is calling who? Who is she calling?
Mamdani.
I recall him saying Mamdani, right?
Yeah.
And it's because regardless of what interest they want to promote, at least we know in terms of the Democrats, the DSA movement, that they won't be compromised. So if she's going to partner with someone like a Mamdani, she will be forced to capitulate the standings of the DSA, like affordable housing, right? And that comes in the form of policies, right? So she's going to have to capitulate to affordable housing plan, right? A comprehensive plan in order to run on the populist movement of the DSA if she chooses to be the main candidate for 2028.
Right. She's made it.
We speak on
Twitch, go ahead. Sorry. No, I was going to say, I follow you 100%. Of course, you gotta leave some more commentary on this. But something you said, it just made me think of something. It seems to me like she is now, the center Democrats, they will, because Kamala Harris has done this, she has legitimized Mamdani's, she's legitimized the Democratic Socialist positions, right? Pretty much. That forces the other because a lot of center Democrats do understand that every other Western country, capitalist Western country, has universal health care and universal education. A lot of the center Dems know that. But some of the center Dems don't want to do it, right? The other center Dems don't want to do it because they know their donors, might be these corporations that are getting big money off of it. So I just wanted to, put that on the table.
You hit it right on the nose.
Yeah. Okay.
So now we can segue into the Supreme Court's more recent judgment when it comes to donations, right? So they ruled that they're essentially removing the cap in the amount of money that one party can donate to the individual and then their campaign. So in the past, it was $3,500 for the individual running and then $3,500 for the campaign. So that essentially was around $7,000 in total for someone who was running a campaign. Now they uncapped that. Right. So what that means is when we look back at the donors, like you were speaking about, so Democrats are at a disadvantage because the amount of donor money they receive comes more from in smaller amounts from more constituents. Right. So in numbers, less corporate money or less big mega donors. Right.
Exactly.
As you would call it. To these campaigns. So the Republicans overwhelmingly have larger donors, right? Fewer donors, but bigger amounts. Right? And so the Democrats are at a disadvantage because most of their
Republicans have extremely greedy donors.
Yes, Republicans have donors who, because when you are up against the values of everyday Americans, you need to spend as much money as you can to promote disinformation, misinformation, and redirect. Right. Where it doesn't mean the Democrats are completely immune to it, because obviously they run the same gambit to a different extent. Right. Maybe not as worse, definitely not as worse as the Republicans, but they definitely aren't as transparent and as fast forward with a lot of their policies, right? Their policies are like a drop of water in a bucket that needs to be filled. But with this Supreme Court ruling, now they're going to put as much money as they can, and just conveniently how it passed during the midterm. So this year alone, right? This year alone marks the highest spending year in any midterm election ever. They're at almost $500 million, almost it's $500 million they've spent already. We're only in July. We're only in July, and they've already spent $500 million running these campaigns. And the argument is because they wanted to take, a lot of the Supreme Court arguments were because the arguments that were presented were because they wanted to have just as much sway and power as the PACs. So obviously we've been talking about PAC money and how PAC money has influenced a lot of these elections, because they have, right? But those PACs essentially back a party, right? They don't necessarily back a candidate, right? It's kind of like a handshake and a wink. It's like, hey, you're running this candidate who promotes ideals that we want, so we're going to give you an extra $1 million on behalf of our PAC. Just make it sure it goes to this candidate, right? And so now the party's argument to the Supreme Court was essentially that influences elections. And so to have a fair election, we also need to be able to spend more money in order to not have that happen, even though both are going to happen in conjunction, right? That just leaves more money into campaigns, right? Which is why
this is a capitalistic election. This is going to be the most capitalistic election of all time.
This is why I circle back to what I keep saying. Uncap the house. Uncap the house. The more people you have running, the less money can get focused on one or two individuals or a handful of individuals that are running. But go ahead,
you're right. And I was going to piggyback on that and say it is less more money means less representation for the people. And it means less in the United States, it means less representation for the people who already have the least amount of parliamentary representation per person in the Western world. At best, United States American citizens have half the parliamentary representation of Europe. At best. At worst, when you get to countries like Denmark, it's like 30 times, 40 times less parliamentary representation per person. And so the United States is bringing up the rear when it comes to parliamentary representation. That is taxes, representation with your taxes. You have the lowest standard in the Western world for taxation with representation. So you have some representation, but it's barely. And now they're going to throw more money into it than ever. Like, throwing money is not just saying it's a capitalistic war. You know, it's sad. And I think the American people are going to win if they know their civics, if they know their facts, if they do comparative data. If you don't compare yourself to someone else in the West, you don't know how good or bad you have. You have to have something to compare. You got to have something to compare your goodness. Even if you think you're doing great, you still need something to compare it to know how great or how not great. No comparison means you don't know. You only know what you're being told. Yeah, go ahead.
For those who are newer in the chat, right? And explain what I mean by uncapping the House and, 435 representatives when we should have 700.
Right. Well, uncapping the House means all right, here's the thing. 1920, the United States citizen population has tripled, right? So that means it has 3 times the amount of people. But the House has not grown. It stayed the same, 435, something like that, members, right? So you actually have one member that's responsible for like 1 million people. That one member is supposed to know what 1 million people's experiences are on the day-to-day and how to fix them. One person. So you're at a disadvantage. And when I say less parliamentary representation than Europe, Americans have less parliamentary representation than than Europeans have. The reason why I say it that way is because when we say parliament, we're talking about Congress and the Senate. We're talking about representatives, right? And so when you look at Europe, all you have to do is count how many people does one parliamentary member represent in any given country, right? And you will find out that actually a smaller size population, let's say in the United States, one representative might have 1 million people that they have to represent. Let's say you go to a European country, that goes down to 500,000, just one. So that one member actually has a responsibility over a smaller group of people, meaning they can get around and communicate with that smaller group of people, know more about that smaller group of people. They have more manpower, in other words, to know what their constituency is doing. When you get to places like Denmark, it's not half the representation. When you compare the American citizens' representation in their own parliament to what a Danish citizen's representation is in their parliament, it's 30 times less. You have 30 times less the representation in parliament, and maybe more, than a Danish person has. So that means when it comes to taxation with representation, Europeans are represented better. They have more representation for their taxes. People know more about the quality of their life for the taxes they pay.
And
yeah.
that leads to more different political parties. Right now, we have a 2-party system because of this cap on the House, right? It allows for different candidates to not be bogged down by the others, right? And so when we look at our current population, our current representative House representatives, and just to remember for everyone, we are a democratic republic, which means we elect officials to represent our best interest.
Facts. And I think a lot of Americans, they just don't have anything to compare it to. It's easy. When you do the comparative data, you kind of know more about yourself, And that's where the 700 number comes from, right? In reflection to our current population versus when this cap was initially made, we need an additional, 350 plus House representatives to reflect
the interest of the people. Right? Right now, when we don't have that, we get these superstar House representatives, right, who are valued a whole lot more because they have a larger district in numbers that they oversee, right? And with this cap also, it allows for a lot of smaller districts to have more of a say than districts with a lot more constituents.
Right.
And so that's also a big issue, right?
Yeah, that's
Where we can have
exactly what it's
larger-
about. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. We can have larger districts, but those districts somehow still get the same amount of reps, even though the reps are supposed to be in reflection to that population, which isn't currently what we have here. Right?
You got less representation in the U.S. You got less. Americans have less parliamentary representation for their tax dollars. That's it. And then on top of that, when you pay taxes in the U.S., at best, 45% of the taxes you pay actually go to things you can see that affect your life directly. As soon as you leave the U.S. and go to any other NATO nation, that the amount of taxes that they see that directly affect their lives jumps up to 60%. In some NATO nations, it's 70 up to 75%. So, Americans by far have the least amount of democracy of all Western nations, right? That's just what it is. And you're more closer to like being 1 foot off of the British colonial project, which was like you had indentured servants. Everyone was basically owned by the king. Essentially, you paid taxes, but you had peasant rights and slavery, straight up slavery. Like, it's closer to that than it is the other way around. When you look at the numbers, when you look at how many how much parliamentary representation you have compared to Europe, right? How much taxes of the taxes you pay directly impact your life. Yeah, you have very little representation in the United States, and it probably feels like that for a lot of people because the numbers back it up. Yeah, but in any case, let's hear some more about this. And do me a favor, click the like button. If you haven't clicked the like button, click the like button. A lot of you have been here for quite some time. You must like something about it, right? So what I'm going to do is I hope you subscribe. Some of you should subscribe because I usually put the chat in subscriber mode at some point after I see people have been rocking in it for a while, right? That's how we get subscribers. This last year, I got like maybe 8,000 subscribers. So big up to the people that subscribed. And now I'm going to go into that little project again, and then we're going to continue. So if you subscribe right now, you will remain in the chat if you haven't subscribed. Going in subscriber mode means the people that haven't subscribed will instantly not be in the chat anymore, and you will have to wait 5 minutes to get back in the chat. So are you ready? You've been here a while now. You probably enjoyed it, but let's see how stingy you are. Doesn't cost you any money to subscribe. 1, 2, 3. Let's see how that looks now. I'm curious. Now let's continue. Let's continue and see what else is happening here with their commentary on Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. And who else? Mom Donnie.
2024. Talk about the DNC autopsy. She's doubling down. She's embracing. She's seeing that this is the future base of the Democrat Party. And as we know, you can't win if you can't turn out your base. It's interesting.
Different topic for you, Cassie. I want to start with, do you believe any of the disclosures that the public is reading about all day today about Donald Trump and his associated businesses making more than $2 billion while sitting as president of the United States atop the regulatory apparatus that influences some of those gains is a potentially potent midterm issue?
I don't know if it's a potent midterm issue in particular because Donald Trump's not on the ballot as much as Democrats will try and make him on the ballot. But I do think this is a whole new industry. I don't know how crypto even works.
Sedona, good looking out.
Americans are saying, what is this mystery thing that I'm learning more about? And how did Donald Trump make money off of it? So I think that's more where people have questions. They're just not quite sure what they're looking at. And to the ethical conversation, let's have that. But more broadly, the administration has opened up crypto. Donald Trump was pretty early, even when he wasn't back in the White House, on getting into crypto. So I think his answer to that, and the White House's answers to that, is to say, come join. The water is warm.
Jaime, but I opened this show by noting Reuters reporting a month ago that showed a lot of Americans.
Let me shout out. Let me shout out some people. Jazzy Music, Eric Klein, what's up? The Mods, Rafika. Let me see. 6 Cents Amelia, Smooth, Bandit. What's up? Sedona, appreciate that. What's up to you? Who else? Oh, no. Look, a lot of people didn't subscribe to it. They spent that much time in the chat and they didn't even subscribe. Wow, that's stingy. In any case, those of you that haven't clicked the like button, go ahead and do me a favor, click the like button. You can still do that. It's for free. It's for free, especially if you're here now. Let's go.
With things in this space, thinking because Donald Trump was associated with it and the regulatory environment would be more favorable, which it is, but they lost money.
Yeah.
He's made money.
Yeah. Look, I largely agree with Cassie on the opening up crypto, and I obviously have some friends who are in that industry who are doing pretty well. But I think the normal American people are asking themselves right now, if the Trump family can make billions of dollars and I haven't been able to close my paycheck gap, what does that mean? And so while he's on the ballot for the midterms, I do think affordability, I know we bastardize this term so much, but it's still on the ballot. And I think when you have this mirror image of the president making billions of dollars.
Sustainability is on the ballot this election, and it will be about affordability, sustainability, and it will be about people not just talking about it, but people that have showed some new real ways of making it happen, not talking about it. We don't want another Donald Trump talking about it. We don't want another person going to war somewhere else. We don't want somebody talking about how we need to, how great another country is and how they're sacrosanct to us, right? When they have health care, universal education, and we don't. The conversation has to focus around American people and sustainability. How American people are going to sustain life and not be replaced. That's what this conversation in the midterms is about. Because Americans are fucking tired. Americans are tired of the bullshit. They need results. And if you feel like you need results, you're a sane person. Because guess what? You have less representation in your parliamentary democratic society than Europeans have. Yes, less of your tax dollars goes to things that directly affect your life. Yes, that is what the data says. That means you feel it. You feel different. You behave different. Your health is different. Every other capitalistic Western nation has universal health care. They found a way to stay capitalistic, stay democratic, and make sure everyone in their society has health care. They found a way to make sure everyone in their society has education while being capitalistic and being very good at being capitalistic. Like actually having emerging economies. The EU economy is number 2 in the world. Number 2 out of hundreds can't be weak. The only people to rival the European economy is China. And China has how many more people? The EU has 450 million people. China got 1 billion people. Do you think the per person wealth is the same? You tell me what your math skills tell you. Because in my world, no, that's not the same. So Europeans have a pretty high quality life. But then again, you'll never have a good enough lifestyle to just throw money out the window, throw your tax dollars out the window. You'll never have that. You'll never have enough money to just throw your parliamentary representation out the window. Nah. And you damn sure ain't going to just be like, fuck all three. That's what's going on in the U.S. People are like, fuck all three, man. Fuck healthcare. Fuck my taxes. Take it all. I don't want nothing for it. And fuck my parliamentary representation. And fuck my healthcare. Fuck my education. Like, god damn. You think you're gonna you think you're not gonna be replaced with policies like that? I guarantee you. It is all Policies like that is all about replacing you specifically.
You're struggling to pay for your health care, your kids' child care. Then there are questions about, are these things working?
I want to give you polling from New York Times, Siena. 3 races: Ohio, Maine, Alaska. John Husted, the Republican, 50. Sherrod Brown, formerly in the Senate, 47. Margin of error. Maine, Grant Plattner up to 49-47 over sitting Senator Republican Susan Collins. Alaska, Dan Sullivan, 47. Mary Petola, Democrat, 45. They're all very, very close. Pick one of those as a
Yeah, good old Mitch is on his way out. See you later, Mitch. And he is literally a Mitch.
Republican, Cassie, you're most nervous about.
Most probably John Husted, Ohio.
In Ohio.
Because Sherrod Brown is a unicorn Democrat candidate, of which I'm sure Jaime wishes the entire map was a bunch of Sherrod Browns, because he's a very savvy politician and also savvy for Ohio. But John Husted, also very popular in Ohio, a red state.
Yeah. Pick one of those 3 that you think is the best opportunity for Democrats.
Look, I think Ohio is cool, and it's not.
Somebody in the chat is talking about a constitutional republic. Listen. I don't know what you think you're talking about. Sometimes people lose me, but as soon as you open up the Constitution of the United States, it tells you who makes laws and how the laws will be made. Right? So that means every law that is made defines the country. So since Americans, the Bill of Rights was established, and there was voting going on, pretty much as soon as voting rights were established according to constitutional law, right? According to the Constitution, it became a democracy. It is no longer a republic. It is not in the past anymore. It's not just a republic. It's just not just a constitutional republic, right? It is actually a democracy until you take away the voting. You see? So go ahead and try to take away the voting. So it's important for people to know that, because there's a lot of disinformation out there where people try to make it seem like, no, you don't really have the right to vote. You live in a country. You're not in a democracy like every other Western country. No, you're definitely in a democracy. That's where and you're definitely your rights extend from what? The Bill of Rights. You see, that's not part of the main Constitution. That's the second thing that came after the main Constitution. 70% of the people that signed the founding fathers that signed the Constitution were Federalists. And the Federalists said, we're not signing this Constitution if the next thing that's not, if who writes law and how it is to be written is not inside of the Constitution, we're not signing it. And then they said, and if the next thing to happen is not the Bill of Rights, where people are assigned their rights and it's clear what their rights are, we ain't signing the Constitution. So that's the Federalists. They're 70% of the founding fathers. So, these are important nuances to understand before somebody takes away your rights and confuses you and then makes you think that you're just supposed to pay taxes for nothing. The War of Independence main issue was taxation without representation. That was the main issue. Okay, so everything else emanates from that notion right there, you see? So let's go.
Not fair, because Cassie, I talk about this quite often, but I do think that Sherrod Brown is bringing a singular message to Ohio right now, even more than the last election. I think he is the model for winning.
Ohioans tell me his ads are much tougher.
They are.
Representation as in voting rights.
They really are.
Cassie, Smedley, Jaime Moore, thank you very much.
Good to see you.
All right, let's go on. That was interesting. Now, let me play one more clip here. Let's see here. Boom. And then we're going to do some Bernie. Let's peep it. I appreciate everybody for showing up. Do me a favor, click the like button if you haven't clicked. If you haven't clicked the like button, do me a favor, click it. It means a lot to me. It's how we get more people to see the video after, and also maybe some more people will come along and see it. Now we've got like 150 or something people watching. Appreciate you all for watching, helping, playing a role in the United States, our country, my country, right? Getting better, fixing its sickness. For those of you that don't know, I'm an American born and raised in Washington, D.C. Both sides of my family go back to the colonial period, right, and of the country, right, and that's before the foundings of the country, the colonial period. We know what that is, right? But as a grown-ass man, I live in Copenhagen, Denmark, the great country of Denmark, and that is a country that's inside of the European Union. And so that's one of the things that I bring to the table: cross-reference information, cross data, so that you don't have to rely on someone telling you you're great, so that you can actually have something to compare your greatness with and know how great or how ungreat you are. Because of course the nuances make the whole difference. The whole difference in you understanding you and your position right now. Okay, without that comparison, you kind of missing a lot. You might be missing the urgency in your own life. So you have value, American citizens, but right now you have far less value than a European citizen. Is what I'm telling you. And you need to catch on to that and do something with that when you go out there to cast your vote this midterm elections. And if you don't know where to vote, join us here. We tell people every day. You go right out here. Where is it at? And you go to vote.gov. Boom. There it is. You can register to vote right online here. Just choose your state, your country, whatever it's already your country, United States. Just choose your state there. If you're from DC like me, you click DC and then you find out what else you have to do right there. And then you will be able to move forward and cast your vote for whatever particular election is coming up in your state. Now, let's get back to the news here. Let's go.
Meet the Press now. I'm Melanie Zanona, and if it's Wednesday, we have election results. Progressives notching another big win in last night's Colorado primaries, part of a wave of Democratic Socialists winning in deep blue pockets of the country, as Democrats grapple with the direction of their party and their base heading into the midterms. Democratic Socialist Malat Quiros defeating incumbent Congresswoman Diana DeGette, who's represented Colorado's 1st District for more than 3 decades. Quiros' message leaning on issues that have animated the progressive base, including immigration and Israel. Speaking to supporters last night, Quiros celebrating her victory as proof of a larger shift brewing inside her party.
We will not wait to take the fight to Donald Trump and the oligarchy. We will not wait. We will not wait to abolish ICE and pass Medicare for all. We will not wait to put an end to the politics of the past, to get big money out of our politics, and to reject corporate PACs and APAC. And no, we will not wait to end the genocide in Palestine. We are winning from coast to coast, from every level of office. We are taking back our party and our country.
But while the insurgent progressive message resonated in deep blue Denver, it didn't resonate enough in the Democratic Senate primary, where incumbent Senator John Hickenlooper fended off a surprisingly tough challenge from State Senator Julie Gonzalez, despite massively outraising and outspending her in the campaign. In his victory speech last night, Senator Hickenlooper trying to refocus on uniting his party.
All right, yo, you there, Mike? I'm curious, how much money did he spend? How much money was spent in this particular election, since the Democratic Socialists only got 45% of the votes, right? Let me look at.
And I think, and I do think that, even with that, that's a sign, right? 45% is still a lot in that particular election. So even if they lose, it is still a sign that without that much money backing them, because we know the establishment Dems won't do it, right? It shows that that's the inner populist movement. And when it comes to something like this, that incumbent now has the responsibility to perform, right? even if they spent the most money or a plethora of money behind that
Bro.
candidate to win that election.
Bro, do you all want to hear the numbers? Do you all want
Please,
to
let's
hear
go.
the
There we go.
fucking numbers? The numbers are
Because that's what
insane.
people don't understand.
But do you know? Listen, John Hinkelooper, which is sounds like a goddamn drum machine name. Hinkelooper, Hinkenlooper, the Akai Hinkenlooper. Now, in any case, John Hinkenlooper, the incumbent senator, raised roughly $10 million over the election cycle and spent $8.5 million for this seat right here. And do you know how much Julie Gonzalez spent to get her 45%? She spent $800,500. Look at this shit. This is just outrageous. This is goddamn outrageous. Look at these numbers. This is insane, bro. This is goddamn insane. This is insane. Who does this, bro? Who does this? This is, man, you ain't getting no bang for your buck, bro. It's John Hinkelooper. You barely won this, and you had to spend fucking almost $9 million fucking dollars to get basically half. What did he get? Let me see. What percentage did he get? He got 55% of the vote. She spent $8.6 and got 41%. He spent $8.5 million to get 55%. Yo, chat, what do you guys think about that specifically? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. I'm going to read you guys off, see what your thoughts are. I want to wait here and see who's got something to say about this. This is outrageous. Hinkenlooper, $8.5 million on his campaign. Julia Gonzalez, $8,600,000. That is,
he spent vastly more amount, more than 2 times, well over 2 times.
No.
Right?
He spent like fucking 10 times, maybe
11,
12 times the money, bro.
Yes. But you have to remember, this is within the same party, right? This is not some Republican incumbent who he's facing. This is just the primaries, right? They spent 12 times more on the candidate that they felt was the establishment Dem, who just so happens to be much older than the DSA candidate, who was able to personally get donations in the form of $800K. Right? That is the major difference. Right? That the establishment Dems put that much money behind him. Right? They put that much money behind him. These PAC donors, right? That PAC money is literally managed by the establishment Dems, and they said, hey, you know what? This is who we're backing by any means, because we do not want this DSA candidate or DSA as a whole to have another win. And it worked here. But like I said, now the ownership is on that establishment Dem to perform, because if they don't perform and they don't put in the policies that are going to benefit the people, they won't have a political career going forward.
Yeah, I got you, bro. You're right, man. This is pathetic. I see someone is still trying to, convince people that you don't have voting rights in the United States of America because it's not a part of the Constitution, even though it's constitutional law. Even though the only document your own rights, you would be a goddamn peasant. You would be a fucking peasant if the Bill of Rights. Do you think the Bill of Rights is part of the Constitution? You wouldn't have any goddamn rights. People live in a delusion. I swear, look, listen, if you write anything else dumb about the Constitution, I'm about to block your ass forever. Like, seriously, don't put that shit in this chat. This live, my streams, our streams that we doing here are for intelligent people. They're not for people that want to be, purposeful idiots. Okay? So get your ass out of here, please, Lynn Smith. Like, what this, I gotta hide her ass forever, man. Don't ever come back. Okay. Now let's keep it going. This is gross. This is a gross amount of money here spent. $8.9 million spent. John Hickenlooper spent on this campaign to get 55% of the vote. Julia Gonzalez, for her to get 45% of the vote, she spent $800,000. 800,000 and a half, 860,000, something like that. Like, what the hell? That anywhere on earth, that's called a bad investment. Look, can you imagine if you bought a car like that? The car that's 45% good, right? And the one that 55%, is a little bit better, just by a small margin, supposed to be a little bit better. You pay that much money for it. Would you do that if you bought a car? Like, and here's the worst part about it. He ain't better. It's worse, but it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's sad. It's sad. Democrats are going to lose with this strategy because your money won't go as far as. Are they just trying to be average? Because you're not going to beat you might win the election, but it doesn't mean you will be successful in Congress. And it doesn't mean you're going to be successful in the Senate if you're not really fighting for people. If you don't see how gross this is, like, I think it's going to turn people off, because people want to see change. And it's not just Democrats that want to see change. Republicans are demanding change. They may not, how can I say that? It may take them a little more time to understand that they're being broken, but a lot of them already understand that, understood it for some time, and then more of them are getting that message day by day, like change, and they're not necessarily going to feel like establishment Dems brought change. Think about this. People always recite this. They say Democrats had the majority once before. What did they do with it? Somebody today said that in the chat. Not to say that I agree, I know what they were going at or getting to when they said that, but that statement I agree with 100%. Democrats had power once. What did they do with it? Maybe they didn't have as much of the majority as the Republicans have, but it doesn't matter. They had majority at one time. What did they do with it? So this is something that's being said constantly about Democrats. So how are we going to break that? How are we going to break that image? Yeah, in any case, let's hear some more. Let's see.
Let me tell everybody that Democrats are united. Democrats are united. We're going to take back the U.S. Senate. We're going to take back the House. We're going to take back the House, and then we're going to stop President Trump in his tracks.
And in another warning sign for establishment Democrats, Colorado Senator and former presidential candidate Michael Bennet lost his primary bid for governor, despite being the early juggernaut. He was defeated by State Attorney General Phil Weiser, who pitched himself to voters as the feistier candidate to take on Donald Trump.
In Colorado, in the face of a lawless, bullying Trump administration, trying to intimidate us, rip away our rights and freedoms, you made it clear that we need a leader who will fight back and never bend the knee.
President Trump and Republicans, meanwhile, are signaling they are eager to focus on the insurgent left wing of the Democratic Party in the upcoming midterms, with President Trump moments ago renewing his attacks on Democratic socialists as, quote, communists, as he spoke in North Dakota in the opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. Joining me now from Capitol Hill, actually on set with me, is senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor and Kyle Clark, anchor and political reporter for our Denver affiliate KUSA. I'm going to start with Sahil, who is on set with us because Congress is actually not in session as they were supposed to be. But I want to start with these results last night. I know Capitol Hill is gone, but what kind of reaction are you getting from Capitol Hill and from Congress about these results last night?
It's a bad time to be a Democratic incumbent in Washington. I think that's the through line of all these races we saw in Colorado. We've seen
This happened in New York and elsewhere around the country as well. I think Democratic leadership is still trying to process what this moment means. Is it a matter of ideological divides or voters demanding that Democrats move to the left? Is it a generational matter? Is it throw the bums out? Is it all of the above? The generational contrast in the Milot Kiros race was remarkable because she was born in 1997 after Diana DeGette first won that seat. She's held that seat for longer than her opponent has been alive. So I think all of that kind of factors into how Democrats are trying to understand this moment and how Democratic leadership feels they need to respond.
Yeah, talk to me more about the Democratic leadership and specifically Hakeem Jeffries. How is he viewing this sort of shift within his own party? I
think he's probably happy that the House is out of session today because he gets to sit with this and process how he wants to respond to it. He did put up some congratulatory tweets congratulating Milot Kiros. Didn't have a whole lot to say about her beyond that, but said they're going to take back the majority. He also congratulated Manny Rutinel in Colorado's 8th district. That's going to be a big, big, important race. And he had...
Whoa, let me see here. Okay, so Hakeem Jeffries congratulated her. Congratulations to State Rep Manny Rutinel on your hard-earned victory. MAGA extremist Gabby Evans is the central architect of the Medicaid cuts causing pain for Colorado families. Okay, that is interesting. All right.
I'm gonna place a link in the chat that covers this past primary that just passed.
Okay.
And where we rank in terms of who donated, and it kind of breaks down the financials. I'm gonna send it in the chat now.
All right, perfect. Put it in the main chat. Yeah, let's see here. Okay, is that it? Let's see here what Michael's got for us. Big up to our contributor, soon to be co-producing contributor, but contributor Michael from Brooklyn. That's why he's Michael. For those of you that don't know, Michael's from Brooklyn, New York, and lives in Brooklyn, New York, and that's why he's able to. He's a democratic socialist too, so that's why he knows so much of the policy. Right. So let's see here. Okay, this is a link. I see the link, but it has some different videos. Should I be rocking all the videos or what?
Oh, try to close your app, your Instagram app, and then reopen it by clicking the link. So close it and then click it to see if it brings up the proper. If not, I'll put it in our personal chat and you can bring it up from there.
Okay, let me see here. Let me do that. Maybe if I go like this. 2 seconds. Let me see. You put that there, right? If I do this one more time. Yeah, it went to the same thing. Is it one of these particular videos or what?
I placed it in our Discord chat. You can probably click the link from there.
Okay. All right. So
and let's see what that should take you directly there.
All right, let me try to find that now. Let's see here. Boom. Over here, you put it in the Discord link. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. Now I got it. Took me a second to see where you put it. All right. So let me pull this up. Hopefully it will behave differently. Let's see. Is it opening? Oh, okay. I see what's going on. It's opening up in Safari. Let me just copy this link real quick and see if I'll put it over here and see if that does better. Boom. Didn't do it. No, it's not opening, man. Hold on. Let me try it one more time. It's opening in Safari. It's just taking a second, but I wanted to put it in the browser I already have open. Let me try this one more time and see if it works. 2 seconds, y'all. Thanks for your patience. Let's see here. No, it's opening up on the same thing. Same exact thing. Let me see what it does in Safari. Let me see if Safari is open. Yeah, for some reason it's going to this option area with a bunch of videos. So it's not really. All right, maybe it's opening up in Safari. Is it because I'm supposed to be logged in? It's possible. Let me maybe that's what I need to do. Let me see here. Log in.
Yeah, you might have to be logged in. I don't think you should, but I think it would help. But
Yeah, I'm just gonna
normally
log in.
the link is the link is directly to.
I think this is it now.
Did it work?
Oh, really? Wow, it wants me to do all of this. All right, 2 seconds. Let me just log in. Yeah, it wants me to log in, man. Let me see. Am I even logged in?
All right, let's continue the clip until and then we'll see if we can figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Yeah, let's play this clip. We'll continue with this and then I'll figure it out on the way. Let's see.
Candidate to win that district.
You know, I mentioned that Republicans and Trump are calling these candidates communists, but talk to me about how you think Republicans are really going to try to message this in the midterms.
I think part of it is the word socialist doesn't have the same sting as it once did, so President Trump is calling them communists. But yes, it's the same strategy that Republicans have used to varying degrees of success in many years. They're going to try to tie the Democrats to the leftmost wing of the party. And will they be more successful this time around because the left-wing insurgents are doing better here?
Because
that's an open question.
That's what they just did in the last election. Before the last election, Kamala Harris was a communist, And so how do you explain that? How does that magic trick work when Mondami and them are not, they want more than what the moderate Democrats like Kamala Harris demanded. So it just, at some point, it just makes me wonder, man, like, are American people this stupid? They're just going to keep falling for these kind of dumbass labels. And yeah, we'll find out. Let's play some more.
It may be possible that works better, but we're also seeing it happen more in big cities and dark blue districts like Denver last night and Manhattan, New York City. We're not really seeing as much of it in the suburbs. Democratic Socialists are not winning primaries in these competitive purple districts where Democrats have to win. I did speak moments ago, or rather a few hours ago, to Steny Hoyer, the former House Majority Leader. He's disappointed, he said, in the result. He said DeGette was a good member of Congress, or rather is still a good member of Congress, and that she was unfairly tagged as not being enough of a fighter. He did warn that if Democrats get tagged writ large as socialists, they're not going to win nationally.
And Diana DeGette was an impeachment manager, so she has been someone fighting on the front lines here. We also saw Democrats make their pick in Colorado's 8th district. This is a key flip opportunity. Talk to me about that race and how confident are Democrats that they can flip that seat?
Very confident, in large part because of the environment. Gabe Evans is a first-term member. He won only by about 2,500 votes last time in what was a much better national environment than we are expecting in 2026. That's their main source of optimism. Democrats are going to run on the Medicaid cuts that Gabe Evans supported in President Trump's big, beautiful bill. They're going to highlight the cost of living and accuse Gabe Evans and President Trump of failing to make good on that promise. But Republicans also feel somewhat confident because Manny Rutinel does have a very progressive record that they're going to try to tag him as out of touch. They're going to try to tag him as too much of an extremist. And Republicans are very aware that a number of Democrats are on the record saying maybe he can't win a general election. They were arguing during the primary that his challenger, more moderate challenger, was a better candidate.
Definitely a race to watch. Sahil Kapoor, thank you. Kyle, I want to turn to you now. What were your takeaways from last night?
I think what I heard from Democratic voters, and I think what we saw in the results last night in Colorado, was not necessarily a referendum on the age of candidates or on incumbency, but about action and about whether they're being effective in delivering what Democratic primary voters say they want done as priorities. Because Diana DeGette was a very progressive member of Congress. She said all of the right things to Democratic voters, but was unable to show anything for it in terms of results. And that was the opening that Democratic Socialist Malat Quiros had to say, hey, listen, if nothing else, send me in with a different...
Exactly. And they have a living example of Mom Donnie. They have that living example. And Mom Donnie broke the mold of the last mayor, the do-nothing mayor, Adams, right? So, who turned out to be totally corrupt, right? Also. And, yeah, this is the trend around the country. Listen, MAGA talked about the swamp, right? Draining the swamp. Isn't that what Trump talked about? But as soon as Trump got in office, He became the swamp, right? He said he was going to release the Epstein files, right? And when you listen to MAGA people talk about the Epstein files, the only person they want to focus on is Clinton. Great. Okay, Clinton was there. I'm not defending Clinton. I think that's kind of shifty and shisty being in there, right? So I'm not defending Clinton. Yeah, and on top of it, I myself actually didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. You know, I was turned off. I didn't even vote that year, and that's terrible. But I didn't vote, and the reason why I didn't is because I don't believe in these kind of dynasties, political. We already had Bush. I was like, fuck that. Never again. Not anybody. If you serve as president, I'm not voting for your son. I'm not voting for your wife. I'm not voting for your brother. I'm not voting for your cousin. I'm not voting for anybody you related to once you serve as president of the United States. So that's why I didn't vote for Hillary. It wasn't that I liked Trump, but maybe I should have. But I'm from D.C., so D.C.'s a Democratic stronghold. Hillary Clinton got our electoral votes anyway, so it wasn't because of my singular vote that she didn't win. But having said that, a lot of people see those things. MAGA sees that. They focus on the Clintons and the Epstein files, right? But the thing about it is that, so if you focus on Clinton, are you more likely to believe an establishment Democrat is going to release the Epstein files, or a left-wing Democratic socialist? Which one do you think is going to release the Epstein files? MAGA people say all the time, every day, how come Biden didn't release it? So that means MAGA people are likely to believe that a moderate Democrat is not going to deliver. Then there's a lot of Democrats that believe at the same time, or at least they say it. Who knows if MAGA believes the things they say either, right? Because they say a lot, but they could flip-flop, right? Like, you know, all the time. But there seems to be a lot of Democrats that say moderate Democrats don't deliver. So I don't think it's so easy right now. I don't think anyone could call this. I think Democratic socialists are way more of a possibility of leadership in the United States of America than Republicans or center Democrats. I think that's where it's going, I believe, because they have a living example, Mamdani. And as long as they can't find a way to where they can say Mamdani isn't delivering, that is going to eat away at everybody, every other establishment. Republicans are only establishment. They're only oligarchy. You know what I mean? They're all AIPAC and oligarchy, big money donors. That's it. They don't even care about the average Republican. So I think you're about to see a switch, and the switch is going to be, and this is just something I'm thinking about, Republicans saying they're not going to vote for someone else associated with Trump. They're not going to vote for J.D. Vance. They're not going to vote for anybody that carried water for Trump. Most of them won't. 70% won't. So that means, who are they going to vote for? Are they going to vote for an establishment Dem that they've seen already, heard already, got used to already? Or are they going to vote for something different that is simply saying, hey, we're not in agreement with establishment Dems on everything. We want something that works for all Americans. You know, you never know where this. I think they have an advantage. Sometimes being the little fish gives you an advantage. Sometimes being the newcomer gives you an advantage that the others don't have. You know, the others have to spend a lot of energy worrying about you, but it doesn't mean they will have success. Look at the Colorado election. The one guy, he won 40. Was it the senator? He won 55% of the vote, but he had to spend $8.6 million versus the person running against him, the DSA candidate, who got 45% of the vote and only spent $800,000. Sounds like they're running at a huge deficit, center Dems right now, and we're just in the midterm, so we'll see how that turns out. Let me hear a little bit more of this.
Style and a different approach to hold out and force concessions from other Democrats, and maybe we can deliver on some of these priorities. And I think that infused a couple races in Colorado last night.
Something else that stood out to me is that both Hickenlooper and Quiros won by 10 points each on opposite ends, of course, of this Democratic divide. What does that tell us about where Colorado voters are right now?
I would urge people not to look at those two races together because they're wildly different situations, right? It's different electorates.
Here we go. The lady to the right, she spent $800,000. The man to the left spent $8 million. And look at the results. Look at these results.
With
45.1% for $800,000 and 55% for $8 million. I mean, sorry, but this ain't an impressive win. And this is not a good look for Democrats, for center Democrats across the country. This is a look of struggling. You're going to have to spend 10 times more money just to get this small bit of result. I don't think it's going to work.
Different takeaways. Hickenlooper was running a statewide race with a more moderate population of voters. He also is the best known name in Colorado politics. He had an enormous war chest that fended off top tier challengers. He was ready for action. So while the critique stands against Hickenlooper from Democrats, you hear it a lot, that he has not been able to deliver on their key priorities. He fended off the top tier challengers, instead got a lesser known state senator who didn't have appeal outside Denver and wasn't able to fundraise. While in Denver, you have a much more liberal base of voters. Diana DeGette facing a lot of the same criticisms, much more progressive than John Hickenlooper. She got caught flat-footed. She was not ready for this challenge. She's never had a serious primary challenge. And the quality of the challenger. Maylot Quiros, if Americans are just getting to see and hear her, she is a very effective messenger for her far-left views in the same way that New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is. She is eloquent, she is thoughtful, and she's not confrontational. She tries to meet people where they are and say, I bet we agree on more than we disagree.
And then let's talk about the race for governor, because both Michael Bennet and Phil Weiser had pretty similar platforms. So how was Weiser more effectively able to harness the anti-establishment energy in the party?
I think it's because he painted Michael Bennet as a creature of Washington, and that's how Phil Weiser overcame a 25 to 30-point deficit in this race to eventually win by double digits. His message to folks in Colorado, Democratic primary voters who had supported both him for AG and Bennet for Senate in the past, was, listen, leave Michael Bennet where he is. He's doing an okay job in Washington. He could be a little bit tougher on Trump, but leave him there. Don't bring Washington here, all right? We don't want that style of problem solving here. I'm promising more fresh action, more direct confrontation with Donald Trump. And I think that was the edge for Weiser. And at the end of the day, it traps Michael Bennet in a job that, honestly, it appears that he hates. He wants out of Washington. He wants out of the Senate. But voters told him, don't quit your day job.
Really important.
All right, so now we got this other clip up. Let me see, Mike, if you're still there. Here we go. We finally got this up. Let's see what they're talking about here. Boom. Is it on? Here we go. What's going on? It's not rocking? Oh, it's coming. Sorry about that. It's a little delay, y'all. The internet is a little slow.
This is Senator John Hickenlooper.
Here we go.
Now, why does he get an F for his financial integrity? Well, he's received a little bit of money from corporate PACs, a lot of bit of money from APAC, and holds almost $20 million in individual stocks. On top of all of that, out of the money he does get from individuals, 46% of those funds come from checks coming in at over $2,000 a donation. Colorado deserves a lot better, and the good news is he has in next week's primary. This is Julie Gonzalez. Now, why does she get an A for her financial integrity? Well, she's raised over $800,000 with none of those funds coming from PACs and 98% of those funds coming from individual donations. 56% of those individual donations are small individual donations coming in at under $200 a donation. She doesn't hold any individual stocks and has taken our political integrity pledge to continue that practice once elected to office. And you know the rules. Since she's taken the pledge, she gets 10 seconds to say whatever she wants.
Coloradans deserve fighters bold enough to say, tax the rich
advance Medicare for all, and abolish ICE. Join us at julieforcolorado.com.
Right on time. All right, the primary is next Tuesday, so make sure to share this with your
Okay, so yeah, so that just happened. She just she didn't win, but she came close to winning. And obviously this guy who did win what is it, Hickenlooper, he had to spend $8.6 million while she only had 800,000 and she got 45% of the vote. Hickenlooper got 55%. What's up with that?
No PAC money, right? No major corporation money. This was all from individual donors.
Facts, bro.
Think about that. That is representative of the people, right? That's where the DSA versus your establishment Dems have that disconnect, right? But where this establishment Dems want is they want something more centrist to appeal to those red states or those purple states in particular. So they can overwhelmingly win a vote when it comes to the presidential election, right?
Right.
But my whole take is, in a hypothetical world, I do think absent Trump, both parties have an even ground, regardless of whether you're promoting or representative of a democratic socialist on any level, right? I do think that without a Trump, your JD Vance has no chance of winning. Your Marco Rubios have no chance of winning. And if the establishment Dems don't start to realize the DSA movement and get along with the DSA movement in terms of promoting them, they themselves will find themselves losing to another Republican incumbent come time for a presidential election.
Yeah, you will lose a lot. You will lose a lot, and in various ways. You can get in. You might get in office in some kind of way, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be effective that way. And there's too many aspects to it and components to success, right? That you can't just think money is the component, and people matter, and what people believe and matters. But it's interesting here because of course there's different positions. Some people think you're not going to need that that let's say Democrats shouldn't reach out to Republicans. I think I think it's an automatic. I think you might not have to appeal to them, beg them, but I think if you speak to the issues that they're going through, you're going to get them because they have a choice to make too. And they don't seem, I don't see how they're going to go back to the well with anybody associated with Donald Trump. I just don't see it. I think they're going to, his 30% will, but 70% won't. So that means they're going to be crossing the aisle, a good percentage of them. And you don't need them all. You only need a percentage. 20% will do. You see what I'm saying? 20% of the people that voted for Trump crossing over the aisle and voting for a Democrat will have a huge significance in the outcomes of all these elections, the primaries and the next presidential election. But listen, I'm going to play one more video and then we'll be out of here. Those of you that I see we got 150 watching, it was 170 before. Do me a favor, click the like button. We need that. That will help out our podcast so much. More people will come across the stream. More people will come to find the stream now and later, right? So click the like button. That's how YouTube algorithm works. If you want to beat corporate media, you have to support independent media. And guess what? It's for free. Clicking the like button is for free. Subscribing is for free. I'm not even asking you for money to do this. We're doing this because we want our countrymen and women and families to win. Okay, so but let's hear this. This is Abdul El Sail. You heard of him before, Mike? Isn't he a DSA candidate?
He is. I haven't heard too much about him.
Okay,
but I have heard of him.
Okay, well he's a Muslim, and so he made a few comments here. I thought were pretty interesting. So let me rock them.
I had a guy come up to me and he said, "I don't like you much." I'm sorry. He said, "But I'm gonna vote for you." I was like, "What?"
He's like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, why? He's like, because I think you really want me to have health care. I was like, I do. I really want you to have health care. He's like, that's why I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, so why don't you like me? He's like, well, because you're Muslim. I was like, oh, okay, all right, good. Turns out I don't need you to like me. I need you to like you. I had a guy come up to me and said, I don't like you much. I'm sorry. He said, but I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, why? He's like, because I think you really want me to have health care. I was like, I do. I really want you to have health care. He's like, that's why I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, so why don't you like me? He's like, well, because you're Muslim. I was like, oh, okay, all right, good. Turns out I don't need you to like me. I need you to like you. I had a guy come up to me and said, I don't like you much. I'm sorry. He said, but I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, what?
So the guy came up to him and said, I don't like you too much. And he said, I'm sorry. And he said, yeah, but I'm going to vote for you.
He's like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, why? He's like, because I think you really want me to have health care. I was like, I do. I really want you to have health care. He's like, that's why I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, so why don't you like me? He's like, well, because you're Muslim. I was like, oh, okay, all right, good. Turns out I don't need you to like me. I need you to like you.
And that's what it is. Americans need to like themselves. You deserve better, way better. We've gone through the numbers. We've gone through the comparative data, comparing the United States to different European countries, to the EU, and that. We have shown, we have proved it is a living fact. You have less parliamentary representation than any European citizen. They have double the representation you have. Okay, they get at best 45% of the taxes you pay in the United States of America go to directly impacting your life in any way. In Europe, and as soon as you leave the United States and go to any Western country, any Western capitalistic country, that percentage goes up to 60% of the taxes you pay directly impact your life. In some Western nations, capitalistic nations, it goes up to 75%. Americans, get it together. Vote for your own interests. Love yourselves. Love your family members. Love your communities, and want something for your taxes. Want something for you. If you don't, no one else will want it for you, especially a corporation with $1 trillion, especially people that don't give a damn about you in the first place and don't want to give a damn. I mean, if you don't do it for yourself, nobody else is going to do it for you. Yo, Mike, you want to say something on the way out of here? Let's see. Is he? Maybe he had the timeout. In any case, I appreciate everybody for coming out. Click the like button, please. Go ahead.
I was trying to find my, no, I want people to stay as informed as possible, right? And like I always say, you can verify the information we say on this stream on your own, right? And I implore you to, obviously, I would hope that you trust us enough in our transparency to be able to keep you guys as well informed as we are. And that's what drives our passion to continue to speak on these topics, to inform on these topics, and also just commentate on these topics. And uncap the House.
Uncap the House.
And term limits of the Supreme Court. Those are probably the two things, at least for the next, the next few streams and going forward, you'll always hear me champion, because those two things can really transform our current government structure, even with a lot of the rulings, even with a lot of these candidates like the DSA, because the DSA movement is the preferred movement. But those two things can change our political landscape as a whole, right? And that would allow for more representation, which means more of a voice, better constituents, and with the Supreme Court limits, obviously that won't happen anytime soon. We're hoping for a miracle with that one, but that would allow for a more transformative Supreme Court, right? That would hold obviously less weight in a lot of these decisions, as the Supreme Court transitions from term limit to term limit. And we won't be bogged down by these Supreme Court justices who serve for a lifetime, who essentially die in these seats. And we're waiting, for, you know, whichever president at the time, may that be a conservative or a liberal, to elect who their preferred judge is, and that's holding democracy hostage. But that's what I have to say for today.
Yeah, man, and think about this: who pays the bills of these Supreme Court justices? The taxpayers.
We do. Yep,
Like,
we
yeah,
do as taxpayers.
you
Yep.
have a welfare recipient begging. You have someone begging you for your money every goddamn day for a lifetime, for their whole life. That's called a Supreme Court justice. I mean, can you think of any other any other abuse? I mean, they don't have to do nothing, man. They could be mediocre. Did you know a Supreme Court justice that there's so few qualifications needed? A Supreme Court justice could be appointed at the age of 6 months old. Do you know that? There's no limitation. 2 years old, someone could be appointed. That is insane. You know, the U.S. is lacking so much oversight on so many critical areas in government. You know, it is led to this thing we call Trumpism, and it's going to kill you. It's going to kill you if you don't do something about it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, and just keep in mind that as with these Supreme Court rulings, as these executive powers become more consolidated, as ridiculous as it sounds in terms of, you know, who can be elected in the Supreme Court, that's, you know, in places like that, while we consolidate these executive powers, that's where it will be reflected in, right? When we have an FBI who won't prosecute criminal activity based off your party affiliation, when we will have, you know, a Fed chair who won't raise or lower, mainly raise the Fed rate because he is
because the president told him to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we want these branches to be overviewed, or at least just viewed by the head of the executive branch in terms of the president, but we want them to function separately. That is what ensures democracy.
Yeah, and who do you blame if they taking orders from someone else? You can't even blame them. If things go wrong with the dollar, if things go wrong with the dollar and the economy, you can't blame the head of the Fed if the head of the Fed is taking orders from the president. It's supposed to be separate. If the economy goes bad now, right, guess who's going to be blamed? Donald Trump. Why? Because Donald Trump has fiddled with it more than anyone else. You're not even supposed to fiddle with it. And the reason why you don't mess with it is so you can blame them for fucking up the economy. Right? But, you know, hey, I guess folks don't understand how shit works. You know what I'm saying? In their own country. I mean, it's so sad. But in any case, I'm going to be out for now. We'll be out. Michael, thank you for coming up as usual. Mike from Brooklyn. And I will be back. We will both be back in 18 hours from now, the normal scheduled program. Big up to everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. Start of your Thursday today, and the weekend's coming. So, you know, don't burn yourselves out. Now, listen, do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't clicked the like button, click the like button. Let's get 100 likes. We only got 80 likes, you know. But in any case, I appreciate you all for showing up. Even the people that don't subscribe or click like. I'm glad you showed up because you matter also. Be part of the change. Be part of the change. Even if you don't recognize it yet, you came to the right place and you're getting some good information. And unless you're purely just a troll, you are being reshaped. Your thinking, because you're getting information here that you're not getting from legacy media. I promise you that. And you're getting information here that you're not getting from the average podcaster. Like, we know what the hell we talking about. We bringing the data points. So it's not only Midas Touch. Big up to Midas Touch doing their thing. They are like the, you know, the gigantic.
They're the major league.
They're the major league independent, but we gaining on them. Nah. Big up. We gaining on them every day. So we'll be back. Y'all. Appreciate everybody, and have a positive start to your day. All right. We'll be back in 18 hours. See y'all soon. All right. Let's do it.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you guys.
Peace, Mike. One. Let's do this.
Take heed. Take heed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I traveled the globe just to gain perspective. The theory of relativity applied. Of course, it took a while to decide how I should proceed. But even my life is truly based upon need. So I move forward with more deliberate speed. Smash corny motherfuckers that stuck on greed. My seed is worth more than $1 million in future stock. The goal is to break the safe, the padlock. Mad cats can't stop it, eat a rocket. Your style is boring and cold, mine is tropic. Battles you want, commit, you'll change the topic. My partner should get to put your beat in the pocket. So this nigga here can proceed to destroy your stereotypical pop rap gangsta ploy. Not hating on niggas from the ghetto, but I'm hating on copycat rappers from the meadow. They procreate bullshit without paying the price. That's like talking about CeeLo with no dice. I drink milk, but that's about it. I won't compare dairy MCs to dope shit. I want you full undivided in this here place. We came to entertain and to educate your bum ass niggas and your non-believers. You know we change your membrane every time you see us. The odds can't stand the way we think away ease. The way we get love from the finest ladies. Oh my son, oh here comes another one. I'm about to take it to the place that lies under the sun. Style witty, come from Chocolate City. Today I'm on the march with I invited $1 million from the Million Man March to stomp on fake gangster rappers so they don't need starch. For the funeral suits, we shine boots and make the radio station only play the roots. Then make the television station play Alex Haley Roots and remind these motherfuckers of what? Their roots. Oops, you can't say that, bitch, it's a slap. The new world order is even under attack. You can't fight the power eating a Big Mac. Let me explain, the hamburger minerals lack style, originality, finesse, tactic, energy, maintain creatively. That's you mathematically, your presence is solved. Why? Because to tell you the truth, kid, you're lost. Now who's ball? I'll tell you, I know that brother rap clinic, of course. You're full undivided in this here place. We came to entertain and to educate your bum ass niggas and your non-believers. You know we change your membrane every time you see us. The others can't stand the way we make away ease. The way we get love from the finest ladies. Oh my son, oh here comes another one. I'm about to take it to the place that lies under the sun. Take it to the place, then take it to the place, then take it to the place that lies under the sun. Take it to the place, then take it to the place, then take it to the place that lies under the sun. Sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. There goes Rollo with the blowout fro. He's got a gap, ayo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrating, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking lie. The struggle goes on, people try to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong. Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families. Genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists, giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being million sheep in this world that want us to do what we're told, like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality and this day. The struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. Though we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong. Everybody around the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of biased educational methods, twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate, understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle we procreate, we can clone humans, but at the same time we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true. And yes, you know the struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. Though we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong.
Working, struggling, hoping. Some is hustling, every man hustling. Stay alive, that's the game. It don't matter if another gets slain. Pain, recession, other cats want a war, we got the weapon. People want bombs, so they gon' get them. This is the rhythm, the politics ticking. It's sad how we living in this life. It's gonna be a time that we change. Shit is not finite, life is the same. Motherfuckers killing each other to make a claim. Stop that bullshit, you have no respect for each other. You know the truth, you come from your mother, your sister, your brother. So love one another. If we make that change, the whole world will do the same. So listen.
All we need is one love. Every day the children dying. What about the children crying? No, no, no.
What about the kids?
Don't forget the children.
Tell them about the children.
What about the children crying? Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah, I wish someone would tell me when is the suffering gonna stop. I see time ticking, fuck your watch. There comes a time when man steps to the plate, but it won't matter if your mentality is fake. Where I'm from, we got a system, overcrowded prisons, 2 cents an hour, man. Listen, shit don't change if we keep exploiting each other. One day you find out you only did it to your brother. A homeless mother, a baby, no supper. She got a husband and father, they both love her, but they can't find work cause the people with the power, they got a strange way to govern. Their price tag say nothing. Life is funny, then again it's really not. People dying for what other people got. I asked God if he can come and change the shit. He said, hell no, it's you that's gotta change this.
Every day the children dying. What about the children crying? One.
can you tell me that's free? They explain to you what your mind should perceive. Suggest things they want you to believe, like your skin color dictates your race. They're calling you an idiot to your face. Like, life is much more simple than that. We're all slaves and the cards are stacked. While we fight over problems we can fix, industrialists turn our kids to addicts. The television does a job, introduce you. The radio's right there to seduce you, keep you locked on the wrong damn track. Cigarettes is just legalized crack. They want you to catch a damn heart attack. They want you to catch a damn heart attack. But stop believing in the flag, it's a trap. Cause men rule this world, that's a fact. They don't know, but I'm gonna make it right tonight. They don't lie, but I'm gonna say it like I know. They don't know, that I'm gonna hit them with the shit. They don't lie, that you're gonna free your mind tonight. 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 If you see a man that needs help, then help a brother. If you see a sister on her own, still love her. Cause life is about how you choose to see it. But you gotta teach people how to learn to see it. The planet's been through suffering many times. We propagate many wars many times. The people need to wake up and stop accepting deceit from their own government's deception. You can't blame the people for needing protection from the government's bad reputation. We need to sing a song called Free the Nation. Cause we done had a whole lot of separation. Racism, classism, nationalism, based on keeping people out on the plantation. That's the plan, no doubt. Cause rich people got a plan, no doubt. If you still don't understand and believe that we are all one from the same mother and respect each woman and man with the same consideration you would like to be given on a daily, then you need to retire so the new generation can take over and show you how to live and govern this place we call Earth home.
Everybody here, yeah.
They don't know, kid. They don't know. But I'm gonna make it right tonight. They don't lie. But I'm gonna say it like I know. They don't know. That I'm gonna hit them with this shit. They don't lie. That I'm gonna free your mind tonight. They don't know. That I'm gonna make it right tonight. They don't lie. But I'm gonna say it like I know. They don't know. That I'm gonna hit them with this shit. They don't lie. That I'm gonna free your mind tonight.
I wrote this one because I love you, and I want you to love me too, girl.
I just want to love. Just love the way you love. Love the way I love.
I love you.
I just want to love. Just love the way you love. I love the way I love you.
You my TRL, I'm looking at you. The look in my eye, you can tell that I wanna know you, better yet show you that I treat you right, this I owe ya. The feelings I feel are not obscene. It's no secret I'll go in public and scream. I'll LOV you, my baby girl. The feeling's so true, we can make our own world. We were made for each other, I feel like you love. We had a child, we be father and mother. There ain't no other I'd rather spend my time with. This love can endure anything that splits. If it wasn't legit, you wouldn't hear it. I could never be confused by your spirit. We just take it still a roll because we both know what we do. I'm in LOV with you.
I just want to.
I want to
love.
Baby girl,
Love the way you love.
love me.
Love the way I love.
I love you.
I just want to.
Hey,
I want to love.
oh,
Love the way you love.
love
Love
me.
the way I love you.
I love you, girl.
Just relax.
Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax.
Just relax.
Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Hold your hand when we in town. Protect this love, even in the underground. Joy to God, eating brunch on a blanket. This God that granted us these days, I thank it. It's no wonder why I'm comfortable with you. It's all the simple things for me that you do. When you rub my back, it's feeling so nice. Much more than reunion and ice. It's about the kindness I can see in your face, and the way it's at the right time and place. No other woman I'd rather spend my time with. This love is so fresh I can taste.
I just want to love.
Love
the way you love. Love the way I love.
I love you.
I just want to love. Love the way you love.
It's about you.
Love the way I love you.
I love you.
Just relax.
Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. LOVU. My GRL. What? It's like that.
Ladies and gentlemen.
They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct. Then I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die. You voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song.
They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors. I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't dare, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguise is religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war.